a really cheap shirt.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tinfoil Friday. How's everyone doing? Hope you've had an excellent week. Hope your weekend's about to begin or already begun or something similar. Hope everyone's absolutely killing it. Peef. Yes, it's time for the Peef, and if you don't know about the Peef, don't worry about it. I'm sure our memes about it will be much funnier than the actual video, and it'll kill the meme, and we'll be free of the Peef! The Peef will be gone. Like water under a bridge. So welcome, everyone. Let me see if I missed anything. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor and like the stream. Helps a lot. It's free. As they say, smash the like button. Tap it. Do whatever. Do this thingy to it. Whatever. So, we are caught up. Halloween Town with a 7-stream streak says Peef! Peef. So, let's jump into some stuff. What are we gonna do first? I'm not starting with Peef. Ooh, medbed lady. I've been very interested in this medbed lady recently. She's gotten in trouble with her state's, I believe, attorney general for making claims about medbeds, allegedly scamming some people. She claims she's not scamming people. And to be clear, I don't think she's necessarily taken money. I haven't seen evidence she personally has taken money. I think she's lying to people because she likes the attention and clout, which is a different kind of scam, but I would argue it's still a scam, morally. However, people have taken advantage of her relatively large audience, and started stealing her identity to tell people like, oh, you know the medbeds this woman, but not really, someone who stole her identity, talk about, well, give me money and I'll send you all the information, you know? So she's been in defense mode lately because she's trying to keep her scam pure. For her, it's all about the clout. She doesn't care about the money. So she's been trying to get her audience to stop falling for other scammers stealing her identity while also continuing her scam with her actual identity. So there we go. My day's going pretty well. I hope yours is too, DM Trey.
Okay, so sorry, it's...
Oh, that's definitely too quiet. Let me turn that up for us. Sorry about that. I need to get, like, a mix board. That way I don't have to click around for things. I can just easily, like, boop, 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 boop.
Still dark. It's, the sun...
Still feels a little quiet or something. Maybe I need the voice boost on.
Hey guys, how are you? Okay, so sorry, it's still dark. It's, the sun's not even thinking about coming up yet. But if you're in this group, the Military Medbeds Facebook group,
Oh, wrong
which is where
headphones.
this video is posted. And you're saying the beds are bullshit, or I don't believe in them, they don't exist. What you're demonstrating is you're in a group that you don't agree with. So one, why? Why are you there?
That's so interesting. That's a defense that I never understand from people. Like, what, you're in my group where I'm spreading misinformation? What, just to debunk it? Yes, that's a completely legitimate activity. Now, to be clear, if it's your group, you can still ban people for that. Just be honest about it, it's fine. There are certain topics in my chat that I'd be like, we're not doing that. And that's fine. But, you know, be honest about it. Don't act like you're doing it just for, like, why is anyone here to criticize me ever? No, there's reasons people criticize you, it's fine.
Normally, the reason is that you desperately want them to be true, so you don't want to miss out on any vital information. But at the same time, your ego is protecting you from disappointment. So you believe they don't exist. You believe they will not be available. So what happens? You've got this inner conflict going on within you. One part of you wants to be there in case you get any information that may assist you or get you the healing that you want. And two, your ego is saying no. You're protecting yourself. So you do one thing that everyone does when they're afraid, when they're scared, and that's lash out. That's spread negativity. No, they're not true, they're not true. You constantly tell yourself.
You're literally not demonstrating any evidence that they're true, though. You've been saying for years, since like 2017, that you have evidence of these secret military medbeds, and nothing has happened, and you've never offered an ounce of physical or even textual evidence that you have any secret information, but your mad people are calling you out? That doesn't even make sense.
By telling others, you're telling yourself they're not true. You are protecting yourself from disappointment. But what if they are true?
People should protect themselves from disappointment from obviously fake things. Just because something might be a hope doesn't mean it's a good thing in and of itself. If it's a false hope, that's a bad thing. I really, really don't like the medbed scammers. Don't get me wrong, like conspiracy theories, the people who are true believers are victims. But holy crap, the people who promote it and don't believe in it are so upsetting to me. For anyone who doesn't know what it's like to have like some sort of chronic illness or chronic pain, it is a nightmare, and the idea that there are people out there taking advantage of people suffering, taking advantage of people suffering from these things that can make you incredibly desperate because you just want it to stop, those people are scum. Don't take advantage of people suffering. Holy crap. This is like human 101 stuff.
Which they are, by the way. But what if they are?
Beliefs in sci-fi technology on the bingo card, by the way.
Where does that leave you? You've just gone into a group of positive, loving people trying to manifest this.
Trying to manifest this? That's interesting. Normally saying manifest something is akin to The Secret, the idea of, what is it? Something attraction, the law of attraction. This supernatural, paranormal belief that you can create things just by thinking about them. For instance, you might, in the book The Secret, it might tell you, think about getting a promotion at your work, and it'll manifest, as if your thoughts directly, magically bring things to you. Now, in reality, mindfulness, setting goals, and thinking about them, and orienting your actions towards said goals can have a positive effect, but that's all about your behavior. That's basically just cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. So some people might have success in a placebo way or in an accidentally being mindful way, but the people who take this to the superficial extent of just magically my thoughts will manifest reality, that's hocus pocus. That's absolute nonsense magical thinking of the most literal order. It is magical thinking. You think you can bring physical realities into being solely with your will? That's not how anything works, and that is not a healthy belief.
And spread such negativity around just out of fear.
Does that mean that even she doesn't believe this stuff, but she thinks if she can get enough people in a Discord server together to believe this thing, that it'll create it? Is she, like, means to an ending this? Like, is she, like, medbeds aren't real, but she believes in this manifestation thing, and she thinks if she can scam enough people into believing medbeds are real, it'll create them? So she thinks the ends justify the means? It's not really a lie if you're able to manifest it through convincing enough people of the lie. Like, that's nonsense, but I'm wondering if that's how she's thinking?
Just out of not knowing. When you scream bullshit, when you have no proof, but you scream bullshit, you're showing everybody, including yourself, that you're not ready because you haven't gone into your heart. You're not listening to your higher self. You've got a lot more spiritual work to do, a lot.
Medicine that only works if you believe in it isn't medicine, it's a placebo. Glad we cleared that up.
More growing and developing as a conscious being. This is the whole thing, and this is not just about medbeds, this is about everything. When you scream something, or go into a group, or say something, it's not true. When you don't have the facts, but just simply because you tell yourself it's not true.
But without the facts, you have to assume it's untrue. You have the burden of proof. The onus is on you to demonstrate that your quite radical claims are true, and you haven't, so it's understandable that people would be skeptical, if not outright naysayers.
That's very young and very immature on a conscious level. And that tells all of us that you still need a lot more growing and developing to get to the point where...
Don't we all? But it doesn't mean magic is real. Other people criticizing you doesn't mean that they have more work to do any more than anyone else. Everyone has work to do on themselves. But don't just look at people criticizing you and go, no, you. That's stupid.
The medbeds are in your reality. So by you screaming and saying it's bullshit, sounds like bullshit. It's bullshit. They don't exist. It's bullshit. It's bullshit to you because, one, you tell yourself they are.
No, it's either bullshit or it's true. Like, the world isn't a pop cultural understanding of a quantum state. Like, things are either true or they're not. When it's a thing that exists, either the thing exists or it doesn't. Like this, right here, this cauldron whole field, my little stuffed animal thing, stuffed cauldron. If I do this, I don't know how it landed. Did it land, topside down or upside up? It's either one or the other. Just because I don't know the answer doesn't mean the answer isn't there. You can't just say, well, who knows? So all things are 50-50 if there's two options. That's not how statistics work. Sorry, Cauldron, I used you as a prop.
And two, because you're not in the reality where they exist. So of course it's going to be bullshit for you. Because you're not yet evolved enough to experience this technology. You need to be on a path of consciousness, not on a path of ego, for this to manifest in your reality.
For this to manifest in your reality, as if her reality is different than my reality. Like, metaphorically, you can talk about our subjective experiences, but we both exist within the same actual physical space. Our perceptions are different, but the real is physical and exists objectively outside of our perceptions.
Remember, medbeds are 5D technology. They don't exist in the 3D world.
Oh, good. So she admits they don't exist. Kinda. 5D on the bingo card, or rather, dimensions beyond our own on the bingo card.
You will never experience them in the 3D with such negativity.
Oh, well, I don't even need one then, right? In 5D, you're not a physical being. You're some sort of energy, emotional Q being, right? You're like Bill Cipher. You're Mr. Miss Hold on, I need Gilbert Godfrey to help me out here.
Mr. Mixel-Plick?
No! Repeat after me, bright boy. It's Mix. Yes. Spit. Lick.
Mr. Mix Yes Spitlick? You know, cosmic beings. What would Mr. Mix Yes Spitlick need with a medbed? You know what I mean? Doesn't make a lot of sense.
With such low vibration, you won't experience them. So they'll always be bullshit to you. You need to work on yourself and develop yourself and open your mind. Research. There's plenty of evidence medbeds are out there. Plenty of evidence.
I could have just said Batmite.
And I mean evidence. Not just people saying they're real, but actual evidence. How far you dig? That's up to you. But I'm not going to show you the proof because I don't want to disappear.
That doesn't make sense. If you were going to be disappeared for sharing this information, you would have been disappeared the first time you posted about it years ago. Not waiting for you, well, is she going to show evidence? Is she going to show evidence? They wouldn't wait. I like that these organizations, the overarching evil them, are always evil enough that they'll murder you at the drop of a hat. But, like, they'll wait until after you already devastate them. Even though they know that you have evidence, they'll wait until you actually drop it to actually murder you.
Not in that way, anyway. So if you want the proof, then you need to start researching. You need to follow the trails. You need to dive deep into those rabbit holes. Just how much do you want the proof will depend on how far you dig. But just coming into this group and screaming it's bullshit is no proof, it just shows how consciously immature you are.
Why doesn't she manifest herself in a world where she doesn't get disappeared?
And that you're not ready.
Not enough willpower.
That you have a lot of growing and evolving and developing to do. For the rest of us, it really is frustrating. We've already done the work. Medbeds are already in our existence.
What? So is she claiming that, like, literally in her subjective experience of the world is completely different? Like, it has different technologies? Like, we can somehow communicate, like we're in some sort of shared space, but simultaneously she exists on a different plane of existence that's a literal different reality at the same time. Wow. That's nonsense.
If you want the medbeds to be in your reality, stop acting like a dick and start researching stuff.
Like how in the later Star Wars sequels, Rey and Broody Boy are kind of can share a space mentally and communicate with each other, but they're actually in different physical locations.
Developing yourself. Only then will medbeds exist in your reality. No need to be nasty. No need to accuse people. No need to be, you're a liar, you're a cheat, you're a scammer, you're a fraud. No need for that.
I mean, there's no need to be a fraud and scam people either, but here we are, so.
It's you that needs to grow up, and I mean that consciously. You're the one that needs to do the work to align with the medbeds. So start doing the work, and stop
The medbeds can never fail you. Only you can fail the medbeds.
Accusing other people of doing shit. Because it's you that needs to elevate yourself, not others bring themselves down.
Wow. Well, that's bad. Her channel got deleted, by the way. Her channel got deleted. So there are other channels it looks like she's posting on. But yeah. Yeah, her channel, main one, got deleted.
I don't believe in them, they don't exist.
Oops, didn't mean to do that. Anyway, so, yeah, her thing's, not going great. Moving on. Sorry, got one of my hairs in my mouth. Oh no, that's a cat hair. Gross. Here's a video with D. Murphy in it. I think Dave. He's a flat earther, a sovereign citizen. He's into all sorts of kind of woo-woo stuff. I think he's into Tartaria. He's into a lot of stuff. This is a video from The Guardian talking about the flat earth movement. It's a little old. It's like 5 years old, but I don't think we've watched it, and I wanted to do some David Murphy stuff today, because he is kind of all over the place. He's an anti-vaxxer, talks about a wide variety of conspiratorial topics. He's sort of like a Renaissance man in the conspiracy community if the Renaissance was about bullshit instead of painting frescoes and finding out what's on the inside of human cadavers.
Today, to tell you that your government is keeping you divided.
With trust in institutions at an all-time low, and the concept of objective...
He does also drink pee. He drinks pee. He drinks the pee-pee.
...truths...
Does he drink Peef? That we don't know.
...seemingly harder to agree...
Can a person on a carnivore diet drink the Peef?
...upon. Conspiracy theories are flourishing.
The people that are perpetrating this hoax and the people that really run this world are not going to let go of that power easily.
No one has an official nomination for a trusted source of mainstream media.
The mother of all conspiracies is surely the flat earth.
There is no curvature on this earth. It cannot be measured.
But how do you know that you live on a globe?
I wouldn't say that flat earth is the mother of all conspiracies. There are actually much more common conspiracies. JFK conspiracies, for instance. Moon landing conspiracies. But I would say, in terms of having an all-encompassing conspiratorial mindset, like a belief that the entire world is under the control of some secret evil cabal or organization, flat earth is a big canary in the coal mine for that. If you believe that there's an all-encompassing, like, cabal or group or whatever that controls the world and all information, there's a decent chance you're a flat earther. Those are big comorbidities.
Can you prove it?
The flat earth one is relatively new. There were some late 19th, early 20th century flat earth proponents. Samuel Rowbotham, for one. He wrote Zetetic Astronomy, which is still used to this day by flat earthers. There's also this gentleman, what was his name? This is a photocopy of a Farmer's Almanac. J. McDonald's Farmer's Almanac from 1925, which reposted an article from J. McDonald from Birmingham, New York. This article was originally published in 1905 in New York, but this is a flat earth article. So, like, there were earlier flat earth movements, but we're talking about the 21st century flat earth movement, but it does have some roots in early 20th century literature. Stuff people wrote down. Bad ideas people wrote down. Rowbotham's great-grandniece is a lovely trans woman podcast host you've worked with in the past. Oh, that's nice! That's good. That's good.
I know I'm not crazy, so why should I be bothered if somebody says I'm crazy?
If one person says you're crazy, no big deal. If everyone says you're crazy, okay, not always a thing, but maybe, like, look into it and at least consider it a little bit. I get it. Society has stigmatized certain things. Totally. As a trans person, I understand that. But, like, maybe you in this particular case are wrong. Maybe.
We're not spinning round on the ball.
It's not a clear-cut line.
Right. Does the horizon stay to your eye level?
Oh, he's got a Back to the Future 2 hat. I have that somewhere. Don't ask me to put it on. I don't know where it is.
I remember.
Or do you simply trust the evidence you've been shown, assuming such a lie would be too big? Oh, I can
I
see the
find it
curve.
really, really interesting that trust has become a dirty word, not just in the conspiracy community, but in general. Because society requires us trust each other. Like, not absolutely. Absolute trust is not a good thing, I think, in almost any dynamic. But you do need some level of trust, and I get it. Trust is earned, and institutions have failed us in many ways over the last however many decades. So I get why people are skeptical, but the idea of trust being a dirty word in and of itself and something that is not necessary, I think is not good. Yes, I trust that the body of science that exists on Earth sciences, on astronomy, while not perfect, is the best we have right now and is as close to an understanding of the universe as we have. Will it change and improve over time? I'm sure it will. We're not always right about things. Things are modified, models change. But it's not a big lie, right? It's a bunch of people, for the most part, doing their best, trying to investigate a field of study that they find interesting, or like, or just chose as their career. There isn't some big conspiracy. It's fair to look at a field of study and say, for as much as it's useful, I trust that thing. It's not bad, it's not evil, it's just life. You're a human being. You have to learn to trust some people sometimes. It'd be such a burden not to be able to.
Yeah, sure you can.
Over the past few years, flat Earth communities have sprung up online, not only sharing research supporting their theories, but often incorporating conspiracies that, for many, are far more dangerous, from vaccinations to Sandy Hook. But when I visited truth seeker Dave Murphy near his home in Sussex, he seemed keen to distance himself from any formal grouping of globe deniers.
I'm not part of any movement.
Right.
I'm just Dave who knows the Earth's flat.
Describe for me...
You don't get to decide if you're part of a movement or not. Movements are taxonomic in nature, not... whatever. Not prescriptive. Moira Soma says, since I don't have much to do in my life, being very ill, I spend the last 3 weeks or so on a Flash Earth Facebook group, and man, I must say again, they are not nice people. Oof. A Flat Earth Facebook group. Sorry, I said Flash for some reason. Flat Earth. Yeah. A lot of them are very paranoid and angry.
If you will, what your beliefs are.
I personally believe that we live on a big disc of water. There's a North Pole in the centre. All the continents are strung out around it. And the edge is what we call Antarctica. Beyond that, who knows what's beyond that? So this is where anywhere is. Beyond here, there isn't anywhere. Does that make sense? If this is a realm of 3D space and time,
Yeah.
well, there can't be anything outside it because that implies, 3D space and time. But that only applies here.
Right. I wonder if you could describe to me your circumstances when you started to look into this.
I've spent the last 15 years looking for truth. I was at 9/11. I stood there watching it and accepted it for what I saw, just like everybody
9/11 out of nowhere.
else. It wasn't until about 4 years later that I figured out that it can't have happened the way I saw it.
It did.
I mean, I was having my midlife crisis about
I talked
that
about
time.
this the other day. 9/11, two things in my lifetime have been big flashpoint events for spikes in the number of new conspiracy theorists. 9/11, and then COVID. Those have been the two big spikes. If you could chart the number of people that are conspiracy theorists, people who are very interested in this idea that the world has some overarching puppet master leaders that are controlling everything and everything's fake and a fiction, 9/11 and 2020 COVID, boop, boop, you'd get two big spikes. That's my thought, at least. That's my guess.
Everyone gets to that point.
Because those are the two things that I see cited most often as the specific events that incited people to conspiracy theories. Like when they are self-describing what brought them to it, it is almost always, universally, 9/11 or COVID. In fairness, that's self-reported, so that has its limits, but take that as you will.
In their life, you know, around about 40 odd.
Switching from 5G to 6G, not a flashpoint. I assume you mean 4 to 5. No, that's pretty common. That happened, I don't know who remembers this, but that happened when we got like 3G and 4G and 5G. It happened when cities got wired for electricity, when radio was invented. Every time there's some communication switch, there's always some group of people out there who are very afraid of different electromagnetic waves. That's like background radiation, ironically enough, in the conspiracy community. It's always around, and it spikes slightly in times when, you know, there's news about some new kind of wireless communication. But they're always there. That doesn't usually bring new people in. It's just something that's kind of lingering.
That you start wondering, you know, what is this all for? What am I doing here?
Dave took me down to the beach to show me the most simple flat Earth experiment.
Oh,
a curvature calculation.
Batteries? I took the battery out. There should be just under 3 feet of curvature.
The 2020 election was probably another big one, too.
Hiding.
I think that is... I think a lot of the people that were and are into the election conspiracies are already comorbid with... Let me put it this way. The Venn diagram of anti-vaxxers and big election denier people is a pretty big crossover. So I would say a lot of those people probably already got caught up in conspiracy narratives through COVID, which I know is ironic considering Trump hasn't been anti-vax. He's been against mandates and stuff, but he hasn't spoken out against, like, the vaccines for COVID in general. Quite the opposite. He's taken a lot of credit for them, which is kind of funny. But conspiracy theorists always can come up with justifications for that, you know.
At the lighthouse, and there isn't.
Do you feel like the mainstream scientific community will concede to your way of thought?
They can't, because it means then almost the breakdown of civilization. If you
It doesn't. I find that so interesting that they think that civilization hinges on the idea that the Earth is a sphere. No.
Realize that the Earth's flat, well then, hang on, why are we sending things up into space? There is no space. Where's all this money going to?
What's the point?
The reason behind all this deception is they've relegated us to a microbe, a speck of dust in an infinite void.
Again, so, we've talked about this before. A lot of conspiratorial belief is based on insecurity and trying to explain away a reality that they don't like. So, to be clear, I am not saying that some nihilistic point of view is objectively right. I don't think it is. I'm not a nihilist. I'm more of an absurdist, if anything. But he is right to point out that in a strictly materialistic sense, we are very tiny, we are cosmically insignificant, there is no meaning outside of our brains. Meaning is not something that exists in the universe, right? It's something we perceive, it's something we endow, it's something we give to things. We produce meaning in our brains. And that's disturbing to him. He wants there to be some sort of cosmic significance, and without that, he feels small, he feels pointless, he feels nihilistic and depressed. So in order to explain that anxiety away, instead of changing his view and rethinking what it means to be a human and what it means to even have meaning, which is a difficult task, instead of having that existential crisis, or maybe through that existential crisis, instead of coming to some sort of healthy catharsis, he does what I call conspiratorial orbiting. Instead of finally getting to the point, that center of understanding, okay, maybe this is the reality, that there isn't a cosmic significance, but I can have these meanings, and meanings mean things to me. Instead, they eternally orbit the point by denying that reality. No, it's not that we're insignificant and I have to rethink my understanding of what it even means to be human. Everyone is lying to me to make me feel insignificant. It's like super projection. All of their insecurities aren't their own fault. People are lying to them to make them feel insecure. It's very interesting. It's a defense mechanism, a very unhealthy one.
With nothing in control, powerful people who have got more money than us can now say, you do as we say.
How did your family take the news?
My son went off and did his own research, came back and he said, yeah.
My research said by a non-researcher on the bingo card.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Paladin's Fury says, I think that it has a great deal to do with those events breaking people's preconceived framework of basic rules for the world. 9/11 broke the illusion that America was safe from repercussions for their foreign policy. COVID broke the illusion that white people couldn't face consequences for acting in their own self-interest and not being part of their communities. Yeah, I would agree. Anything that gives people anxieties, that breaks their understanding of the world, that their model of the world no longer works. People resist changing their model, so they have to fit what's happening into their model, and conspiratorially, they sort of take a mallet and force it into a round peg into a square hole, so they don't have to change their worldview, which is the hole in this metaphor. Shouldn't mix metaphors. It's all over the place.
And my ex-wife...
It's all about holes.
Actually thinks I'm...
Lois Lowry was onto something.
Crazy. She thinks I'm mentally ill. It's not craziness. It's literally what a true scientist should be like. Should be open to everything.
Before you became a flat earther, did you feel part of society?
No, increasingly I've removed myself from this society because it's a wicked society.
There's that alienation. With this extreme form of conspiratorial thought, isolation is always an inevitability. You might find a group of conspiracy theorists you become a part of. You might even find a cult. That happens sometimes, but that's still isolating from the rest of society. Your worldview just gets so out of the norm that it becomes difficult to interact with people. You almost get mad at them. Like someone like Chris, think about CC, who we cover, and how mad he is at everyone. Because he's gotten to the point that his worldview is so outside of the norm that he looks around and what seems obvious to him, everyone else is oblivious to. So he just thinks everyone's a fucking idiot. He's wrong, but that's how he feels. It creates a worldview in which you are the only one who knows the secrets and everyone else is an idiot, and that's really unhealthy and egotistical. Yeah, I did the giver instead of the wrong one. That's my bad.
It's evil in places.
The Giver is good, though.
You just have to turn on that hypno box, in the corner every night, and you'll see the wickedness.
Excuse you, I have a hypno rectangle
coming out of it.
Do you ever have any doubt?
I've seen so much now that I can't see it any other way.
Why am I standing here? I'm a 50-year-old man. I could easily be sitting at home.
Looks like that documentary I did the interview for, by the way. It's coming out in May-ish? So that's cool.
Watching the Formula One or some other...
Did I get True Lies in the Abyss? No. First of all, I'm not spending money on, like, Blu-rays and stuff right now. Money's real tight. Secondly, holy shit, Hannah mentions Blu-rays. This is fine. The digital, like, upscaling they did for True Lies and The Abyss looked terrible. They did, this digital smoothing thing that James Cameron's really fond of in his 4Ks that I just hate. So, no, I didn't. Maybe I'll get them eventually on sale someday, but, like, they look worse than the Blu-rays, I would argue, because it's missing so much detail because they just digitally smoothed it over with, like, algorithm shit. It's awful.
Mindless activity.
In Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, truth seekers gather to spread the word.
There are no spinning balls in space. Balls in space come down. Play a game of football. Eventually that ball's coming down.
Right, because of gravity. You are on Earth. So.
There's no ifs and buts. There's one up and there's one down.
This is Roxanne Glenn, a relative newcomer to the world of flat Earth activism.
The first time I came here and the first time I got heckled by a bunch of trolls, I really had to question what it was I was doing. I realised, this is actually an argumentative fight that I'm having here. Is this my fight? And then I went home, pondered on it, and went back to my mundane job, doing my mundane tasks, and realised that, no, it is. The more you genuinely take time looking into it, the more it's like opening up Pandora's box. It's like you peel back one lie, And then you realise, oh, they haven't been completely honest about that either. But then why lie? Why do all that? Why not just be honest with us?
So this is something that's sort of a conspiratorial pipeline. You'll start with one conspiracy, and the more conspiracy theories you believe, the easier it gets to become interested in further conspiracy theories. It's kind of like drinking, you know? The first drink is maybe a little rough, but then as you drink, it gets easier to drink more and more and more. Maybe that's my experience as a former alcoholic, but you know what I mean. With conspiracy theories, once you open that door to believing that the world can function the way that it functions in a conspiracy theory, if you start to believe that there are secret groups out there that secretly control one thing, and it's a big secret, it becomes a lot easier for you to accept that there are other groups also doing other things, or that that one group is actually bigger and that it has tentacles in everything secretly. So the more conspiracies you believe, the easier it gets to believe more conspiracies, and you spend time in these spaces and get more and more radicalized and believe things that are further and further away from the truth, whatever that is, further and further away from reality. And you don't even realize it's happening. It's like your own personal Overton window just gets shifted subtly, and you don't realize until it's too late, or never realize. Hydrate.
It's a growing movement.
Yes, I think it is, very much so. The public interest in it, I think, is definitely growing as well, especially with the children. They're not buying into everything they're shown on TV, like I did when I was that age.
What's changed?
We didn't have YouTube, thanks to Trump. They're all walking around going, "You are fake news." If someone like Trump wasn't in office, I don't think even people would be critically thinking about the media.
Truly, critical media analysis only began with Donald Trump's 2016 presidential election.
And her friends have been on tour across the UK for the past 7 weeks.
You must get some funny looks.
Yeah, but good looks as well. There was a lot of people that beat and gave it a thumbs up.
Really?
I was invited to the end of tour party at a school in West London, complete with speeches, music.
Just for like if you had a computer that could create simulations of what the world would be like if certain situations happened, like in Futurama, the professor's what-if machine, I really would love to ask a what-if question of like, what if all these conspiracy theorists actually won? What if somehow they all got in charge? What would the world look like in 10 years if all the conspiracy theorists actually got power and got to do whatever they wanted? I wouldn't want that in real life because I think it would be an absolute shit show and everything would fall apart, but it would be interesting.
And a Glacier Mint
I did see the Doctor Who trailer. Looks good. I'm excited.
cake.
I did hear they're going to be using AI in the advertisements though, which I'm pretty, grossed out by, but
Despite their
hopefully they get dissuaded by the response.
vocal distrust of the media, several people were keen to share their ideas.
So pretend it's a dinner plate, right, stood in the middle, stood on the outside, you spin it, if you stood on the outside, you'll zoom off.
Right.
Stood in the middle, you don't.
And then I did the curvature calcs, and I realised that the curvature calcs said 240 foot should have been missing from the 30 foot elevation, and 123 feet from the 1 foot observation, and that's what clicked then, because that was 49%.
I've gone as far back as to the Egyptian Bible, the Nag Hammadi scriptures, and I'm reading these, and to me, when I'm reading these words, these aren't the words of someone who's trying to deceive us, these are the words of someone who's trying to help and guide us.
So imagine spinning at 1,000 mile/hour at the edge of a round.
The words of someone who's trying to deceive you rarely sound like the words of someone who's trying to deceive you. That's kind of how deception works. If they said, I am deceiving you, or implied they were...
About how tight you'd have to hold on.
I feel like I'm holding on pretty tight now.
We've got to the end of this tour now, and we've positively started a massive wave of conversations with people.
This is not about flat Earth, but it's about you.
We're trying to all find that feeling, what we're all missing, which is love. So in the name of love, let's keep telling people that it is flat.
Thank you, thank you.
Again, they're missing something, which a lot of us are. But in that search for that missing something, some form of community, some love, some feeling of acceptance or something, they stumble into this.
Do you think that the flat Earth provide some clarity where previously there has been fuzz and mess and complexity.
I have that exact same globe squishy thing somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, I do think it provides a bit of clarity. I am on a journey. I'm also going through surgery at the moment on my face because I've got a fracture on my face that no one would know about. Yeah, I was involved in a horrendous attack. Still standing. Nearly lost my life though. Went to court, got done for it. It's been there, done. That was back in 2008. And knocked out.
I hate Twitch Times 2, thanks for 13 months, says, in order to get certain items in Dragon's Dogma, you need to play the game Gamers Rise Up.
For 3 weeks by the hospital to repair in a drug-induced coma, yeah, I'm still standing, still fixing myself from that, and yeah, that's got nothing to do with Flat Earth, but you know,
does it though? I mean, do you feel that is there something in?
Maybe so.
It may have changed kind of your outlook. It may have changed your willingness to investigate things. I mean, who knows, right? This could have had
maybe so, yeah. I do believe that. I do believe that sometimes your life experiences mould you into the path that you end up going on, or the pursuit of truth that you're going on. So yeah, you're probably quite right with that.
For Roxanne to still be undergoing surgery for the physical scars of domestic abuse a decade ago was shocking, to say nothing of the emotional impact of such a breakdown in trust.
We know now that the earth's not round, that it don't spin round, because the truth's being found.
Despite the celebratory
couldn't afford plates. That's a shame.
feel to the event, this was still a fairly small gathering of committed
Could've done Flat Earth cupcakes.
activists. For a taste of the flat earth on a bigger scale,
Generty with 100 bits says there's a British comedian called Dom Jolly, trigger happy TV guy for anyone who remembers that, who did an interview with the Fight the Flat Earth channel and said he once took a flat earther to the Arctic Circle, and when they didn't find an ice wall, the guy replied, "Yeah, well, they won't let you go any further," despite Dom and the ship captain offering to go further north. Lovely. Bumble Homestead, thanks for 200 bits, and kicking off a hype train, 40% to level 1.
I flew to Denver, Colorado, to join 800 paying guests at the Flat Earth International Conference.
I like the map they used
the
was
biggest
Flat
of
Earth.
its kind to date.
Unstable Deadbeat, thanks for gifting a sub.
They're going to be amazed, they're going to be blown away at not the conspiracy theories, the conspiracy facts. We're all with the
Conspiracy facts.
Next to the main auditorium,
we really need to start using different nomenclature for conspiracy theories. I don't know what to call them. More generally, paranoid delusional worldviews, or just paranoid worldviews, paranoid theories. I don't know what to call them, but we need different words for that. Doesn't help.
flat earthers from all over were exhibiting their wares.
And I'll leave it alone and it'll just be still. How could that hang upside down anywhere in the world?
Well, the answer is gravity, though, isn't
Well, in the imagination.
It's opposite. And we're going to be moving in opposite directions, and that's where you get...
We're going to get stuck.
...the day and night.
I mean, how does a lunar eclipse work?
That I'm not real sure about.
This is...
Have we determined how moist the sun is yet? Everyone, by the way, in the comments to that video, because, you know, I stream on YouTube and Twitch, so once I'm done being live on YouTube, it's just on the, you know, former broadcast page on YouTube under the live tab. And people comment, and everyone's like, "It's moist, Hannah." He said moist. Everyone is so adamant that that guy said moist. I don't know. I'm still skeptical. He said moist.
Decide where I get.
So what was the idea with this?
Basically, I just want to do a vertical.
This gentleman here, Mad Mike, amateur rocket guy, he died. He passed away. In one of these rockets that he built, trying to prove that the Earth was flat. Shit. Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 20 tier 1 subs, getting us over our sub goal for the month! Woo! Normal Gamer Gal, thank you for gifting a sub as well. Everyone's obsessed with the moist. I don't know if he said moist, you're so confident.
Large. But what's that got to do with the flat Earth?
Nothing.
Oh yeah, he had convictions. Some people think he was just grifting flat earthers to get them to fund his, like, amateur rocket thing. It's possible. I would respect that. Like, say what you will about the other flat earthers, he was doing something. Not something that, like, you know, was gonna prove the Earth was flat, but he wanted to be an amateur rocket guy, and he did, and he got other flat earthers to pay for it, and, you know, like, I'm sad he died. I don't want anyone to die, you know, like, it sucks. But, like, he did die doing what he loved. He wanted to do the amateur rocket thing. Like, I'm sure he knew that there's a high chance he was gonna get in an accident someday, so I think he knew what he was doing. Sucks. Wish it hadn't happened, but he was doing what he loved to do. Shooting himself off on giant-ass fucking rockets. Terradona, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Starry Beauty, thanks for gifting 2 tier 1 subs. Like, it would be like if I died at, like, a Willy Wonka-esque Blu-ray factory. Like, I had just won a lifetime supply of Blu-rays, and then I got stuck in the Blu-ray machine and died. Like, yeah, I died, but I died, like, doing the coolest thing ever for me, so... Like, you kind of get it, you know?
Nothing. In the conference itself.
Or, like, if I was at a cheese factory and accidentally got made into the cheese. Like, you know, there's something almost ironic about it in a beautiful way.
A familiar face was drawing the crowds.
So what dropity is...
69% to level 5. Nice.
It's the tendency for things to fall when you let go of them.
You're a bit of a star here, right? I mean, come on, don't be modest. Lots of people have come up to you.
I mean, people have come up to me and said they've come all the way from, you know,
After this video, we'll look at the bingo card, by the way.
Sweden and places like that just to see me. Being photographed right now.
Is there a downward bias? There's no downward bias! I did mention cheese. Bittergrin says she's got pressed into a special edition Blu-ray. It's how she would have wanted to go. Boogie Nights. Press my body into copies of Boogie Nights on 4K, please.
You can't move anyway. He's the man, is he? He says the truth. He says the truth. There you go. What do you think of that?
I'm just doing what I have to do.
Good man, Dave. Love you.
Thanks a
Have
lot.
I heard of DoorDash community streamers? Like people who stream while doing DoorDash? I am familiar, vaguely. I know it exists. I've never watched it, though.
Well, you better get back to your adoring fans now. I don't want to sort of take up any more
Shut
time now.
up. Do you want me to slap you or something?
There's Dave.
Dave wasn't the only star attraction on the bill at this Flat Earth Woodstock. Another speaker? Denver's own Bob Nodell.
Bob died. Benekagami says, first maybe call them conspiracy obsessions, because that's what they become, obsessions. Second, people like this would have a hard time spotting deception, because most deception techniques involve ego flattery, which is how most fall into conspiracy. And finally, these flurfers keep talking about the looks they're getting. Folks, people are looking at you like the old bearded lady, because functionally that's what you are, which since this is Turf Island is not good for you. Woof, that was a lot. Hydrate. Can do. Mr. Blast, thanks for 300 bits. 77% to level 5.
How's everybody doing? Besides your eardrums are bleeding, I understand. All right.
Bob,
Right.
great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Unlike many of the people I met at the conference, whose flat earth beliefs stem from a literal interpretation of the Old Testament, Bob's approach is based on scientific rationalism.
I've always been a little bit different. I've always seen the world a little bit different. I was put in special schools. They said that, you know, I had a genius IQ, which, you know, whatever. But I had a hard time relating to other people and the world in general. I never was able to understand why.
Benekagami says bits for reading my essay message. You're fine. Thank you, though. Hats off. What do you want me to wear?
The world seems to be so messed up. You know, why all these wars? Why all the killing? Why do they spend so much money?
Again, why? They don't understand the world, which, like, in fairness, the world doesn't make sense. If you're looking for sort of a top-down why of things, and you're looking at it from a teleological point of view, it doesn't make sense, because the world doesn't work like that. The world doesn't work with someone at the top pulling strings. It works with bottom-up, middle-out. A lot of individuals and organizations making decisions in their own best interests that all conflict with each other and interact and intersect in different ways. It doesn't make sense if you're looking for that level of, like, why. There isn't one. It's a lot of people doing a lot of things, and it ends up with fucked up systems a lot of the time.
Money.
Burger King crown? Let me see if I still have that. I gotta somewhere, right? Yes, I see it. a little folded, but I think we can work with this. We got this.
On things like this,
Who wants to play Big Bumpin' or Sneak King?
when they could
Mandrake PoE says, so we know which Blu-ray you'd want to be, but if you were going to be made into cheese, what cheese would you want to be made into? Parmesan Reggiano. I will be the royalty of cheeses, okay? You will have to ship my body to France.
spend that same money and fix the problems.
If you were shown conclusive proof of a globe Earth with your own eyes, how would you feel, and would you be able to adjust your viewpoint to match?
Honestly, I would be relieved. I would be, because that would mean that this nightmare is over.
Is it a nightmare?
It is. It is a nightmare because,
like I said, Bob passed away a couple years ago, I think, so... Yep. Conspiracy theorists turn their lives into nightmares.
we're going against the entire belief system of the entire world. I certainly do not want to be in the position that I'm in, being ridiculed, being fired from jobs. Nobody wants that. And the only reason I do it is because I truly care about the future of humanity.
Bob took me up to the Red Rocks Amphitheatre on the edge of the Rocky Mountains to cast a view out over the flat horizon.
What are your hopes and expectations for the future of Flat Earth?
Does someone need to make me a custom coat rack for my hats? Yes.
Through as seamlessly as possible without, bloodshed and without, too much conflict. But the people that really run this world are not going to let go of that power easily. In the short term, things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. But when things do start getting better, we're going to go into what I would term as a more utopian type of word instead of dystopian like we're clearly headed for.
Everyone I've spoken to, when you really boil it down, what people want is the same as what anyone wants. To have some sort of agency, to be relevant to something, to have love, all these things.
Yes.
Do you feel then that Flat Earth really delivers that in a way that the globe Earth never could, perhaps?
Of course people are going to want to feel like they're part of something and not so insignificant. That makes perfect sense. So yeah, when you realize that, and you realize that this world is much more special and you are much more special, then yeah, it makes a huge psychological impact. Absolutely.
Some have referred to the Flat Earth as a post-truth landscape. And whilst this may be meant mockingly, it also reveals a very present need for finding common ground in the face of irreconcilable differences. If we're to address the broader
yes, El Presidente.
polarization of society, attempting to understand, empathise and build trust are surely important tools to use, whatever the shape of your world.
Take a look at the bingo card real quick. We got a decent bit of stuff to mark off. We have a flat Earth. We have... Did we have uses AI yet? Hannah mentions cheese, sci-fi tech. Doesn't understand their... Wait, where is that one? Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism. Hannah mentions Blu-rays. 9/11 out of nowhere. Conspiracy theorists tells on themselves for a lot of the insecurity stuff. Misunderstanding of the scientific method. And non-researcher. Where's non-researcher says research? I know we had that one. There we go, 51. Do your own research is different than research said by a non-researcher. but I do think we had both. So you can get both of them. Is that it? I think that's it. The card's getting out of hand. You're getting out of hand. This whole courtroom is out of hand. What would be the scamming shilling? Who was shilling something? Was it me? I genuinely don't remember. Remind me and we can... First lady? You gotta be... Oh, her! Yep. Shilling scamming. I'll mark it next time we open the bingo card. Yep. Oh, here's more David Murphy, this time talking about how he likes to drink into pee-pee. No, there is not video of him drinking the pee-pee. I will not show him drinking pee. I don't believe he does in this video, and if he did, I will skip past it. I know people have an aversion to watching the conspiracy theorists drink their own pee. I won't make you watch it. After this, we'll do the Peef video, by the way. I know it's in the title. We'll do the stupid Peef video. How many flat earthers are just grifters versus true believers? Mostly true believers.
Who was about. Hello and welcome to The People's Health, a show in which we reveal the secrets to harmony between mind, body and spirit. And today I will be talking to allegedly Dave, and we'll be discussing urine therapy and distilled water.
Yep. Mark Sargent, I think, is a grifter. I'm not sure about Eric Dubé. I'd have to watch more of his stuff specifically in order to kind of figure out what I think about him. Eric Dubé is the one that has a bunch of books, right?
This is very fascinating to me, as I watched a show not too long ago of a woman who was about 60 years old, and she had been doing urine therapy for quite a couple of decades, actually, and she looked absolutely amazing. She didn't look her age at all.
Did you ask any people above 60 who look good who don't drink pee what they did? Because I'd probably ask them. Because, like, they didn't have to drink pee. So if you think that it's a 1-to-1, maybe ask some of the people who didn't have to drink their own urine why they look so good.
And this is when I first found it very interesting. So could you tell us how you got into it?
I'm wondering if that woman you saw was Sylvia Chandler.
I don't remember the name, but it possibly could have...
Dave knows all the old ladies that drink their pee in the UK.
been.
Right, well, I found...
Have I seen the guy that injects pee? Is he the guy that calls it shabambu? Is he the shabambu guy?
About it because I went to a festival about 3 years ago, first festival I've ever been to, and there was a woman there doing a talk about alternative therapies. And I'd done a couple of therapies myself, oil pulling and hydrogen peroxide, so I knew that they worked. And
what with hydrogen peroxide?
Oil pulling and hydrogen peroxide.
Is he drinking it? Don't drink hydrogen peroxide. I'm gonna hope he doesn't mean drinking it. Don't drink that.
So I knew that they worked, and the first two therapies she talked about were oil pulling and hydrogen peroxide. So I was on a good sort of footing to start with.
Good start, yeah.
But we all knew that she was going to be talking about urine therapy. So me and 4 people went in with our arms folded, like, yeah, tell us about we, urine lady. But yeah, by the end of it, we came out thinking, we've got to try this.
I cannot imagine the string of words and phrases that would have to come out of someone's mouth to convince me, wow, we gotta try this about drinking your own urine. Like, I would believe in magic spells if there was a series of words in any order someone could recite to me that would go into my ears, and then my brain would go, you know what's a good idea? Drinking piss. That would be incredible. What words could you say that would possibly elicit that response?
To this day, I think all 5 of us are still doing it. And that's, I basically started the very next day. And it only took a few days before, well, actually, it took the first time I drank it, I I noticed something different.
What, within yourself, in your body?
Yes.
The feeling in your body, you felt?
Face stabber.
Within a couple
How big of a gun is it?
of minutes.
Wow.
It was as soon as I drank my first cup, and I was very nervous and very squeamish and everything.
I would hope I had hydrated a lot that day.
But I drank it, and the first thing I felt was this rush of energy and this feeling of well-being, and that happened within the first 10 minutes or so.
That's incredible. So it actually affects your mind as well in a positive kind of way.
Yeah.
See, after seeing that program, I thought, wow, well, if I could be 60 and look that good, then I'm going to drink my own urine. So I tried it.
No. Looks aren't everything, even if it was objectively true. Like, if scientists came out tomorrow and they're like, the key to being a sexy MILF, GILF, or double G GILF is drinking your own urine. I think I'm good. I don't think it's worth it. I have lines. I don't have a lot of dignity, but I have, like, enough dignity where, like, nah. Moira Soma says, there are also those who on TikTok use urine to treat pink eye and eye infections. Surprise, surprise, they have to keep doing it because it just keeps getting worse. Yeah, stop putting waste in your eye. That's how you got that problem in the first place.
And it...
Well, it worked.
It wasn't, well, I didn't continue doing it. It wasn't the easiest experience for me. But as I said before, kind of like alcohol, when you taste alcohol for the first time, you think, oh my God, is this the stuff that everyone's drinking? Like, do you all taste this kind of thing? And then afterwards, you kind of get used to it and stuff, and then it becomes something that you enjoy taking. And so, do you find that did you enjoy taking it from the first sip, or do you find that now you enjoy it more than you?
I did enjoy taking it for quite some time. First couple of weeks, I didn't really like taking it, but you
felt the differences.
Well, I understood that it was non-harmful to my body. It can only do beneficial things to me. So when I was a kid, my mum would try and make me eat Brussels sprouts. Okay, I knew they were good for me, but I hated the taste of them.
There are so you know, I'm not a Brussels sprout gal either. You can eat different things. You could have some broccoli, have asparagus. Brussels sprouts are a not good vegetable. I do not like.
And she would say, you know, stop whining and...
Brussels sprouts are above pea, though, so...
Eat your Brussels sprouts. So I had to say to myself, yeah, Dave, stop whining and drink your wee. You know, because I knew it was going to be good for me, and even though I didn't like the taste to start with, you know,
the results are there, isn't it?
Results are
I mean,
there.
if you can drink it and you can actually feel that you're feeling better, then there's no...
You feel better? Should we double blind test this? No, you just feel it. It's fine.
Really, no one can tell you anything different when you felt the results.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm 3 years ago, before I started it, I was massively overweight. I looked very old. I looked about 55 years old.
And you look pretty well and healthy.
I was tired, wheezy, lame, and I was on my way out.
And that has all changed since then.
My body has gone back to as it was when I was
20. You can imagine drinking pee probably as a good... I feel like you probably smell like someone who drinks pee. Alright, let's watch the Peef video. It's probably not that funny, but someone did find it. Passed it on to Halloween Town, who passed it on to me. So she does a carnivore diet, she does a thrift store haul, and then does a Q&A. So during the Q&A part's the part where she talks about her pee.
Nice. It hangs going out on 3, 4, what I'm aiming for, and I do not limit what I eat. I don't say, oh, I don't want to eat that because I don't want to gain weight. There's just no gaining weight on this, the way I'm eating. All the butter and beef that I want, and there's just no gaining weight.
You can absolutely gain weight from eating beef. It's just maybe less calorically dense than if you're eating a bunch of sugary stuff or a bunch of carbs, maybe. But, like, you need a balanced diet. Just eating a bunch of meat's not good for you.
Days I naturally just don't feel like eating the beef, and I just force myself to eat the butter because I want the calories. So, Yeah, and so everything's going good. Now, I'm gonna hang up, but I'm coming right back. I'm going to go home and edit this, kill some time before Skylar... Ooh, it's already around. I'll be right back, like right now.
There it is.
I'm at the therapy office, but I'm not going to have time to read comments and questions. One of my brothers texted me from Houston and asked if I could call, so I called him and we just hung up, and now I got like maybe 10 minutes, and I mean, I could maybe look through some, but the thing is that
it's a lot of superfluous detail.
You know, sometimes it takes a lot of looking to find the right thing, and then I edit that searching part out. So it can be time.
Yeah, this is in
consuming, but let's just see what I've got here. Just a really nice day, and yeah, my AC is on, and
yes, Phoenix, obviously
getting that little bird sound. If I crank it, that sound goes away, but then we have loud AC. Okay, it stopped right now. All right. I need these for this. Yeah, sometimes I mean, generally it's easier if I have my reading glasses, but there's times that I can. Why was my phone off?
Do I sound like this?
Oh, and I mean, there's other times that I just can't see a thing if I don't have my readers on, so I don't know. I say it's the beef and butter. So let's see. I have no clue why my phone was turned off. I might have done that by mistake. So we have to wait.
Oh my God, go!
By itself. Yes, popular question. Do you eat the butter by itself? Yes, I do. And I know a lot of people suggested all kinds of things that I can do. I don't care to do all kinds of things. I don't want to take up any more time than it takes for me to cut a piece of butter and put it in my mouth and eat it, or actually just bite the stick of butter. Is it awesome? Sometimes it is.
Sometimes I don't know if there's a food I would describe as awesome sometimes. I either like it or I don't. I get the feeling you don't like eating the butter. I wouldn't like eat, you know what? I like butter. Butter's good, but not just butter. Butter is an excellent ingredient.
Do I get sick of it? I absolutely do, but I don't care. I take a bite, I chew a couple times, I swallow it, and I'm done. I try to do that at least every hour so I can get a good stick and a half in per day. It's not a big deal to do that. I don't care to do
She doesn't sound Southern. She sounds from, like, the Northeast.
Butter bites and all these things. I have tried some of those things. Way too time consuming. I'm good. I'm good with what I do, and I just don't care. Like I told somebody in one of the replies, I don't need a party in my mouth. I just don't. I just eat because I need to eat it. Don't come out yet. And so, yeah, I eat the butter. I like it cold. I do not care for room temperature butter. It's even better frozen. But again, if I freeze it, I need to cut up a whole stick, like in little pieces, freeze it, and then just go in the freezer and pop that shit into my mouth. It's really good that way.
Now we're talking about shitting in your mouth?
But I don't even want to take the time to cut up a stick of butter. So I do what's easy. And yeah, that's how I do it. I also cook with the butter. And when I cook a bunch of beef, like I'll cook 4 hamburger patties, sometimes chop those up, some steak.
You cook 4 hamburger patties at the same time and eat it as a whole ass meal? That's like a pound of beef. You eat like a pound of beef at a time? What? That's so much fucking beef. Maybe she does have Peef. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe her pee is just straight beef. Have we tested this? Who is this person? It's Mrs. Peef. It's Mrs. Peef.
And then I put that into a bowl with a cover, and I cook with the butter, and then when I put it in the bowl, I'll cut up maybe half a stick of butter in pieces and just let that melt. I put the cover on, let that melt, and then when that gets hard in the fridge, you got that crunchy butter that's all that's mixed in with the juice of the beef. It's so good.
Oh, crunchy beef butter. I miss the pee drinking videos.
And I make enough to last 2 or sometimes even 3 days. Big bowl with a cover.
Big bowl of beefy butter. Just like Mama used to make. H-Bird says, maybe she just has the world's runniest diarrhea and she mistakes it for beef pee. Easy mistake to make. Easy mistake. She's just not very whole conscious.
And beef and butter. Oh, and I have people telling me that butter is dairy. I know I said I don't eat dairy. Butter
is dairy.
Is such a little amount of dairy in it. It's considered animal fat. It's my form of animal fat that I choose is butter, as do many others. The only other
It is dairy. What do you mean it's a little, it's however much dairy you eat of it, because it's all dairy, unless there's some salt. Salt isn't dairy if it's like salted butter, but like the butter is dairy, so it's however much dairy is in the butter. Like when I think dairy, I think butter before I even think milk.
animal fat I would be interested in.
Amber Pretzel says, ma'am, please never come near me. In fact, I'm gonna go eat a bag of apples now.
At this point would be actual beef fat trimmings. I know you can order it. I don't want to order beef fat trimmings. I don't go to meat counters and
Have I ever covered anti-seed oil people? No, I've not even heard of that.
ask them to save beef fat trimmings for me. So unless I find it somewhere already out and I can just pick it up and buy it, unless I find that and I haven't yet, I'm not eating beef fat trimmings. Again, I don't need to. I'm good with the butter. No coffee? Somebody asked. Today I was absolutely 100% coffee free. I had told you guys a little while back. Well, I told you that I put a piece of butter about this tall, a stick. And in the UK, you guys don't have sticks of butter. So I'm sorry that I did not know that. A stick of butter in
In the UK, they don't have sticks of butter. Does it just come in like ball, like pats or ball? Like where does the butter come in?
USA
What
is
shape is the butter?
a quarter pound. We buy 4 sticks in a box. That's a pound of butter. Our sticks of butter, like I said, they're a quarter of a pound, and I cut about a 3-inch piece of butter, less than half, a little less than half a stick. I put that in my cup with boiling hot water, and I do put a little
blocks, like the 4, but all as one. Okay.
bit of milk. I'm okay with a little bit of dairy. Doesn't bother my joints at all. So happy about that. I used to do a lot of dairy, a lot of cottage cheese, ricotta cheese, cheese. Really, really fun.
I just wanted to talk about the Peef so I can move on with my life.
Up my joints.
I want to move this bit behind me. It hasn't been worth it at all.
So a little bit of milk, and then I heat the milk and butter and melt that, and then I pour hot water, and I put a little bit of cinnamon now, and a little bit of salt, and a couple drops of extract, either anise or vanilla. What's the other one I do sometimes? Almond. A drop of extract. And when I say a drop, I mean it. I take a pin, and I make a pinhole in the little white cover that stays stuck to the bottle, and then I can just tip that, and one little tiny drop comes out. It's a tiny drop, and it's enough.
Nope, never mind.
And so since I still have some instant coffee at home, because that's what I drink, instant, I was down to putting just the tip of a teaspoon of coffee, just because I have it for flavor, and I thought I'll just get rid of my coffee, because I wanted to wean off coffee, because I really think that even any amount of coffee keeps me up at night, even though I have 1 cup in the morning. So today I didn't have any coffee. I just had that hot
I do want to know about the beef piss. I want to know about the beef piss so bad.
beverage that sounds like shit. That's what I had. And I love that. So no coffee. I might be coffee free for the rest of my life. Who knows? I hate to ask this. I love it when people say
This is the question. This is the question with the beef pee.
and they go ahead and they ask. If you hated it,
What's my opinion on Chasing Amy? I only saw it once, and it was many years ago, and I barely remember it, so I would have to watch it again. I'm familiar with how problematic it is, but I haven't actually... Again, I'd have to watch it again.
really, you just wouldn't ask, or you wouldn't say, just ask.
I also did see... I got the notification for that video, too. So I also follow that channel.
You don't have to say you hate it and then ask it. It doesn't make it better. Does this diet make you constipated? Forgive me for asking. Now she needs forgiveness. that was quite the question. Instead of just saying, are you constipated? No. But people think that they're constipated because you barely go when you're eating beef, because beef, it dissolves mostly in your body and comes out.
Oh god, she's so constipated. Oh no. Insert Hank Hill's X-ray bowel image.
As pee. People.
Oh no, it's okay. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth it.
When you're eating beef, because beef, it dissolves mostly in your body and comes out as pee. People don't realize that.
People don't realize that.
So you can go days without potty duties.
Okay, so the answer is yes, you're incredibly constipated. Oh my god, no. Are you constipated? No, I'll have you know I poop like every 3 days, okay? I'm very regular. God damn it! I'm not constipated, I just piss beef. I'll drink to that. Oh. Dillis Filler says, Hannah, I'm starting to realize this is a highly impacted bowel video.
In that direction. And then when you go is...
Need to watch Queen for a day, their sponsors will look her up.
Very little.
We bring you a lifetime supply of beef, and to go with it, an unlimited supply of laxative.
Very little. And people don't get it. They think that because they're not going, they're constantly constipated, but you're...
Yes, you are. You should be pooping. You should be pooping every day.
Not.
Like, the average is like 1 to 2 times a day. There are some people who poop like 4 times a day, which is pretty extreme, but you should be pooping at least once a day. I think the average is 2. A deuce, if you will. Okay? You're going every 3 days or 2 days consistently? You need to drink some more goddamn water. You need to be doing a lot. You need to eat some fucking roughage. Find any rabbit in the wild and then follow them until they start eating something green, and then you eat that too. That's my advice to you, ma'am. Find anything green to eat that has chlorophyll. Pterodona says, one of those laxatives advertised on Queen for a Day might help her. Very true. It's always funny when chat comes up with the same joke simultaneously, almost.
It's because you have no waste. All that beef and the butter, but the beef, it's digested so...
This beef is so pure. This beef is so pure, brother. You won't believe the purity of this beef. Your body will use 100% of this beef, and any beef it doesn't use, it's gonna turn into pee, brother. Why is that my beef pee voice? Have you already tried our InfoWars bone broth? Try Peef. Moira Soma says, red meat is the worst for constipation. It explains Jordan Peterson, for God's sake. You don't want to emulate that. Yeah. Am I channeling Alex Jones? Yes. Yes, I am. These liberals don't want the frogs to understand the power of Peef. Channel the power of Peef, brother. Alright, I'm good.
Oh, fully, because it's what your body wants. There's nothing...
Trying to wreck your throat? I can't. I'm the throat goat.
There's no waste. There's no toxic shit that has to come out in the form of shit.
Nancy Reagan's ghost came and gave me the title specifically so I could say Peef like this.
Let's just go ahead and say it that way. So, yeah, so there's very little waste. And, you know, if you're used to what you're used to, there's a lot of waste coming out of you. That's all stuff your body didn't need and said.
It's true. My body didn't need, doesn't need a lot of things, but it needs the beef. It needs the beef. Fenakagami says, ma'am, if you're... Ma'am, if you're concerned about calories, eat celery. It takes more calories to digest than it contains, and it may relieve the pressure in your gut.
We got to get rid of this shit. So, very little waste. So that's a very big difference than constipation. Constipation is when you're full of shit and it won't come out. And but with meat,
so that can't be her because she's full of shit, but she's just spewing it out of her mouth constantly.
It's all being just digested and coming out as pee. Okay? And it's a diuretic also.
It's a diuretic. This beef, don't worry, this beef is diuretic.
So for those of you who don't like what I just said, grow up.
Listen, all of you making fun of the Peef. You're too immature to understand the power of the Peef. Harness the Peef.
Yeah, that was worth it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Halloween Town, for bringing that to my attention, as well as anyone else.
It's real life here, you know? Let's see. And there were quite a few questions about that. And also about diarrhea. I don't know how it would affect some people, but no, there's no issues. I think your body is just so happy that it's getting the stuff that it wants.
You just gotta combine the beef with the chili juice, and you'll reach homeostasis. You'll literally live forever. And if you also wear Alex Chu's immortality rings at the same time, you will reach supersonic status without having to play the whole game again. So, would recommend. It's like a game genie for real life. Okay, moving on. Stupid bullshit I'd fucking say for my job. Oh boy.
We're back with another video, and I'm back with my good friend Paul again, and today we're going to talk about his book, The Nephilim Look Like Clowns.
Nephilim on the bingo card.
So go ahead, Paul, the mic.
Actually, before we start this, I have to use the bathroom real quick. So I will return. Behave. Okay. Chair's in charge. Hello, everyone. I did want to bring up, too, I forgot to mention, I am planning on doing a patron-only stream this Sunday. We are going to go over the next few chapters, or however much, of the book that I've been reading. Here it is. Planning on doing an edited content still on this. Last patron-only live stream, I went through some of it with you guys. So we're going to do more of that. If you want to join the Patreon, there's a Patreon command that'll send you to my Patreon, which is patreon.com/Hannah Reloaded. You'll also get access to all the previous patron-only live streams. So if you'd like, you can do that. All right, enough shilling. Back to it.
All right, guys, we're back with another video, and I'm back with my good friend Paul again, and today we're going to talk about his book, The Nephilim Look Like Clowns. So go ahead, Paul, the mic is yours.
Yeah, well, obviously we just had
For those who don't know, Nephilim are creatures mentioned in Genesis in Christian mythology, wherein the children of angels and human women are these men of renown, these giants of old. They're very vaguely referenced, and conspiracy theorists have latched on to that to claim that there is a secret race of giant people that are related to demons. So that's the context for this. Forrest Espion says the Nephilim clown looks like Alstor from Has-Been Hotel. Hannah, have you seen the show or plan to? I've not seen it, but everyone has told me to watch it. Basically everyone. And every time I go to the trans meme subreddits that I'm a member of, that I'm not going to disclose, there's always memes about it. Everyone's all up on this goddamn Has-Been Hotel thing. I haven't seen it yet.
a very brief talk before we started recording here, but I guess I'll just pick up from where we left off there, really. It's a passion project of mine. It's the amalgamation of maybe 5 years worth of research, 6 years worth of I don't know, it's pushing now. The time just keeps going with this one.
My research said by a non-researcher, which we already had, but that is that, to reiterate.
And it's got to the point where I've decided, you know what, it's time to compile this into something a bit more consistent, permanent, shall we say. Let's put ink to paper. And I have been writing this book now for 2 months. I am 20,000 words into it and 40 pages in, and I've only just about almost finished the first section of 10. So this is probably going to be a 500-page epic by the time I've finished. What we were talking about just before, and what the first section is really all about, is the historical basis for everything. So you want to talk about Nephilim looking like clowns, well, first you have to know where Nephilim came from, just what they are exactly and how they came to be, the role they played in antediluvian history, so pre-flood history, the role all the other players in
the flood he's referencing is Noah's flood from the biblical story of Noah's Ark.
Involved in the creation Nephilim played, so the rebellious angels and their take on everything and how they created the Nephilim, and obviously how their agenda as to why they even did that to begin with. And then they have the Cain's progeny, who created many cults in the antediluvian age who worked with the fallen angels. You know, it was the daughters of Cain who mated with these fallen angels to create the Nephilim to begin with. But that's it from the lineage of Cain. That's right. So, and this is the thing.
Cain's bloodline is considered evil because Cain killed his brother Abel in like the second Bible story, basically, after the creation in Adam and Eve. He was sent out with the mark of Cain to indicate that he is like banished, but he had kids, I guess.
I want to talk about the clowns in my book. That's what the book's about, you know, how are Nephilim related to the image of a clown in some way. But all I've done so far in 20,000 words is just try...
H-Bird says, I thought angels didn't have genitals. How could they impregnate human women? I couldn't think of a joke. I was gonna make a joke about those insects that, like, they impregnate by, like, they have a sting that they kind of sting into the other insect, and it, like... But I can't remember what that's called. Some sort of proboscis.
To make a Cliff Notes highly summarized version of a lot of history people have written 1,000-page books about. And I'm trying to condense it into about 50 pages. So that's where I'm at currently with my
That's
book.
actually something I never thought about is what tribe or what people were the sinful women that mated with the angels? Where were they from? And that's a good point. They probably were from the lineage
In
of
the
Cain.
Bible, angels are generally, if they're not like biblically accurate angels that are like the rings and kind of esoteric, then they tend to be androgynous. Angels are typically androgyns.
When did you come to that conclusion?
Well, much of the early part of my book is based on the works of Gary Wayne. I don't know if you heard of Gary Wayne before.
Yep,
So,
Genesis 6 conspiracy, right?
absolutely. So, if I grab this here, a lot of that comes from this book.
Yep, that one, the conspiracy.
The good thing about what Gary's done here, it's like an 800-page epic, but it's all broken down into every section of what happened at the flood, all the way to now, basically.
Mhm.
And the brilliant thing is, he's referenced all the authors I need to find to where he got his information from, so I can reference from what he said straight to where the source came from. And this is just a treasure trove of information, basically. But Gary Wayne is a contrarian Christian. He doesn't go with the mainstream churchianity view on the creation of Nephilim or what it means when it says the sons of God came unto the daughters of men. The mainstream understanding is, and that was just the sons of God references the righteous sons of Adam, so the sons of Seth. Obviously Abel was murdered by Cain, but then Seth went on to have his lineage all the way down to Noah, and it was the righteous sons mating with the rebellious sons of Cain's progeny, daughters of progeny, which created these giants. But that doesn't make any sense to me. And Gary Wayne has made it very clear in here that is just...
Why do I recognize that name? You talking about Richard Wayne, Gary Wayne? Why do I recognize that fucking name?
A naive view of things. If you want to go off the Bible alone,
Rick M. with
which is obviously nothing wrong with that in itself, but it's biblical.
What was this? Oh, from Star Trek. I can't play more of that. I actually need to turn a fan on. It's getting warm up here. 1 second.
Story, I think it does. I believe, and he's made it clear as well, and I make it clear in my book, it does make it clear that they are talking about angels mating with women. They're making that very clear in the Bible.
If you take the Bible alone without the Apocrypha, I think it does make it clear, because it literally describes these giants that came from the relationships of the fallen. Well, that doesn't say fallen beings. It just says Nephilim and the sons of God, right? It talks about them looking differently. 6 fingers, like 6 toes.
Absolutely.
Just gigantic. That can't be a normal human.
Well, that
ancient wisdom. All right, enough of that. No, there's no CC. He hasn't posted in about a week.
Alright, you guys, you see this rock right here?
This is the Fool's Gold guy again.
See this line right here? Let's take a look at this rock right here.
For those who haven't seen me cover this guy before, he has geological conspiracy theories that he believes in. He keeps finding fool's gold, and then people are like, that's fool's gold. And he'll be like, no, it's not. Gold is secretly everywhere, which, of course, wouldn't make sense, because if gold was everywhere, it wouldn't have the value that it has. He also thinks he sees fossils in regular rocks. He thinks that basically he's doing pareidolia. He's seeing rocks that he thinks look like bird skulls or dragon things, and he's doing what Roger does, the Mud Fossil University guy. He thinks it looks like the thing, therefore it must be the thing.
Nope, not that rock. Yes, this rock. Alright, what would geology say here? Geology would say that's a quartz vein, and that's metamorphic rock. Let's pretend you don't know anything about rocks. What do your own 2 eyes say it looks like? Come on.
Rock.
Have an honest look at it. Have a good, old-fashioned, honest look at it.
My brain doesn't... conspiracy theorist thinks evidence is self-evident. It's so interesting, this kind of thing, because there's not a thought process here that you can explain other than an extreme confidence in their own intuitive, like, thoughts. The first thing that comes to their brain is the objective right thing. And there's no talking them out of it. There's no method to the madness. It's just is what it is. They see a thing, their brain says, I think that thing looks like this thing, so to them, that thing is this thing, and no amount of analytical discussion will change this, because they have an incredibly overdeveloped confidence in their own first impressions. Their first impressions are reality to them, and everything that pulls them away from that initial first erroneous impression is a lie, or a conspiracy, or a trick, or a psyop. It's really sad. Tea Time Tea says, has anyone ever told him that not all that glitters is gold? I think he's actually referenced that before and claimed that he thinks it's part of the psyop. Yeah.
All right, look at these. These look like teeth. Now
look like quartz crystal. Like, I've seen rocks like this. That's what they look like, and they're not teeth.
We're looking completely objectively, right? Look.
Objectively, he thinks that his intuitive initial thought, he thinks is the definition of objectivity. He sees it, he thinks it, so the first thing he thinks when he sees it must be objective. Of course, that's not how it works, but that's how he's interpreting it. That's objective to him. To him, his initial knee-jerk subjective view is the objective view.
These not look like teeth to you? They even interlock with each other. This one's right here, and then this one's here, 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 just like a bite would do.
That would be a terrible bite. If that was a bite, this thing needed braces badly.
Upper teeth and lower teeth. See anything else interesting here? What is this?
See, that's something I didn't even take note of. Like, whatever his initial impression was, stuck with him apparently.
Let's go have a look at an article real quick. Crocodile teeth, everything you need to know. What type of teeth do crocodiles have? Look at this thing. Jeez, just built to shred things. Most crocodiles have 60 to 70 teeth, most of which poke out when they close their mouth. Crocodiles have slightly curved conical teeth lining both sides of their jaws. Most species have around 60 to 70 teeth, but some may have up to 100 crammed in their jaws. Saltwater crocodiles have an even 66 teeth, 36 on top and 30 on bottom. Additionally, the fourth tooth back in a crocodile's mouth is massive, like the canine tooth on a wolf. This tooth juts distinctly into the side of the upper jaw, creating a dent called a constriction. That is fascinating. When a crocodile loses a tooth, it is quickly replaced. These reptiles can go through 8,000 teeth over a lifetime, according to the San Diego Zoo. Holy cow, that's a lot of teeth. Fourth tooth back in a crocodile's mouth is massive, like the canine tooth on a wolf. And look, 1, 2, 3, fourth tooth back.
He's skipping over an area. Can you guys, I don't know if you guys can see my cursor when I put things, but like right here, like between 3 and 4, there's a blank space that he's clearly like ignoring because it doesn't fit what he wants. Like, what is this top tooth doing? It's all out. It doesn't make any sense as a mouth. He's trying so hard to fit this to what he wants it to be.
Back is like a canine. That's what this tooth is. This is a huge crocodile tooth. I mean, look at these. This is not just a quartz vein that happens to look like teeth, you guys. Come on.
I don't even think it looks that much like teeth.
That's what they want you to believe.
It looks more like quartz crystal than it looks like teeth.
You're supposed to believe this is just a quartz vein, naturally occurring quartz vein and this occurred deep in the earth near the molten core, and that's what that's supposed to be.
My grandparents, growing up, I don't know if it's still there, but when my mom was a kid, her and her sisters found a big, like, quartz crystal that was dug under their property, and found it, and it's this giant, like, quartz crystal that was just, like, big, and they kept that in their garden for many years. Maybe it's still there. I don't remember. Haven't been to their house in a while because they live in Florida half the year. But, yeah, you can just find this stuff. Like, it's cool. It's incredibly cool. Like, rocks and minerals and, like, different stuff from geology is neat. But, like, I don't understand why you find rocks less likely than secret dragon fossils and stuff.
I'm not buying it, you guys.
He says it's formed near the center of the Earth, which I don't know where quartz is actually formed, but I don't assume what he says is true necessarily.
Neither. This is like a rose quartz. Look at this. But this one in particular...
What does he think a geode is then? A toothball? Teratoma?
Is very, very, very interesting. This is not geology. Look at that. It's biology. I'm trying to show you some evidence. Do you have the eyes to see? Do you believe this is a petrified crocodile or alligator, ancient petrified beast, and these are teeth, because they look like teeth.
They
This
don't.
looks like a bloody crocodile mouth.
Bloody?
This looks like a tooth that is coming in to replace a broken tooth. Or do you believe what mainstream science is?
Peep Lord with 40 bits. Peter voice. Quartz is formed in the butthole. Is that a Peter voice?
Claiming that this is just a rock. Nothing to see here. This is just a rock. Nothing interesting here. No.
I mean, it is interesting. It's interesting for what it is. If you're into rocks and minerals and geology.
This is just a rock with a...
It's just not a crocodile or dragon.
Quartz vein in it. Is that what we're supposed to believe? You're looking at pretty irrefutable evidence.
Conspiracy theorist thinks evidence is self-evident on the bingo card.
That's a crocodile mouth. That's a petrified crocodile. And those are teeth. That is not quartz. Look at these rocks. I mean, look at this. I mean, doesn't this look like something's teeth?
I mean, does it have teeth all over its face? Because those same things are all over it. Because it's got, like, it's crystalline. It's, like, got a little, it's all jaggedy like that. Like, it's everywhere over it. Those aren't teeth. Look at the rest of the quote-unquote face, if you want to call it that. If those were teeth, look at the rest of the face. It's covered in them. So was its face covered in teeth? God, the ability for people to, like, cherry-pick things they're looking at is incredible.
And you could even see the blood.
It's not blood. Blood doesn't, like that's how fossils work. Fossils don't... blood is organic. It does not...
Like a bloody...
Blood doesn't survive fossilization.
Mouth of some sort of creature. What do your own two eyes tell you?
Poor guy. Jesus Christ.
This is the symbol for the Great Spirit. And this is the goddess of 1,000 names, Lilith. See, she has two globes in her hands with two flat planes. And she's standing on, see the two-headed lion? This is the one side of a light hole is a black hole with the green astral jet shooting out the infinite potential. This is the Earth's memory, the goddess of the Earth. It's the Bible, the two bowls. It's as above, so below. Right now, you're on the wrong side of the fence. You need to get to the other side of the fence, and you're going to do this by going through the Holy of Holies. And that's where every compass on the planet is pointing to. This central point at the center of the flat earth plane where you will pass...
My cat summoning spell worked. Cat makes a guest appearance on the bingo card.
...through the everyone enter her eye zone, and you will pass into the land of perpetual twilight, where you'll see like Aurora Borealis all the way across the entire sky, and trees that go on forever. It's the Garden of Eden. It's right over there. And what you're going to do is, you're going to come with me in a couple of years. We're going to go there. We're going to drink from the living waters. We're going to become superhuman. And we're going to bring forth heaven on earth. No one's going to stop us. I have the Holy Spirit and everybody appears retarded to me. This is the Matrix, people. One
Oh, this is a lot.
electron bounced by a positron. One light hole, one black hole on loop through the Holy of Holies. There's no way to fuck it up. It's under the embryonic fluid. And this is a computer simulation. The two bowls. Then you have the co-ran. Like, one side of a light hole is a black hole. The black hole is fixed, and the light hole is the co-signer, and it's running.
Lou is my familiar. It's true. If any of you get a familiar, when the demon decides to take the shape of a cat, make sure they're less chonky. Lou is a very lazy familiar, but I love her very much.
The maze. It's the the rat. Star in reverse is rats, and it's running the maze.
Oh yeah, this is complete, like, word association. That person's gone.
The new Avatar and Nephilim.
There's a certain point at which in conspiracies people get so lost in the semantics and just thinking things into circles in their head that they're basically gone. Like, they are, like, I don't know how to, I don't even know how to talk about that. They're basically so far gone that, like, no idea.
Netflix, and I really...
How about Cabbage Guy? Oh my god, Cabbage Guy is covering Avatar! I just realized probably why! My conspiracies! This is the guy that thinks Cabbage Patch Kids are predictive programming.
Hey, what's up, guys? Just got done watching the new Avatar on Netflix, and I really loved it. I figured it would make for a good...
That's a bad choice. Watch the original. Oh my god, the new one was bad. We got through like the first like 3 episodes and gave up. Not worth it. Just watch the original show.
Little video, even though we have some other things that we're working on, but everyone's probably watching this now, so I thought it would be cool to talk about some of the spiritual and occult aspects of Avatar, as there are some very deep topics and knowledge revealed throughout the show.
Let me guess, half of this is going to be, wow, this is vaguely based on some sort of Eastern philosophical or religious or spiritual thing. And they're going to go, that's demonic.
This isn't just a Netflix show, it was in the original series, and we loved watching that show growing up, even rewatched it several times, including Korra. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite shows, and I remembered when it first aired, I was so hooked, and I couldn't wait for each weekend when new episodes would...
Great show, would recommend. Even as an adult, Avatar The Last Airbender, the animated show, was great. Really fun show, would recommend.
...be released. It may very well be one of the best animated series of all time, and there has to be a reason for this. I think it's because it taps into our inner sense of the unknown and mysterious.
It's a fun adventure that's really well animated and has a great story and likable or even unlikable characters that you love to hate. Like, it's just a really solid, multifaceted.
The show implemented these spiritual concepts in such a kid-friendly way. It really appealed to a large audience. Of course, there were many things iconic about the show, from the voice actors to it being based on real martial arts, but there really wasn't anything else like it on Nickelodeon at the time. I honestly think Netflix did it justice. It's nothing like that M. Night Shyamalan movie, which was horrible and tried
That's a low bar.
to fit the entire first season into an hour-and-a-half movie. The Netflix series is 8 episodes and each one is about an hour long, and I just think they did an amazing job. Sure, it's not the same as watching the original. It takes a second to get used to with the actors,
This
but
doesn't have anything to do with the Avatar James Cameron movies. They're completely unrelated.
each episode is an hour long, the CGI is amazing, And even some of the writing is genius and how they mix different episodes together in order to save time. Not sure if that was the best decision, but I can understand why they would want to do that. I was also quite surprised that Netflix didn't ruin it with being woke or anything.
Oh my god, fuck off. Fuck off.
I didn't get that vibe at all. It was honestly beautiful. Made me feel nostalgic, and even emotional at some points. I actually would like to keep watching if they had more episodes. So with that said, I'm not going to break down everything, but just some of the interesting spiritual aspects of the show. There probably will be spoilers just in case you haven't seen it, so keep that in mind. The show is filled with deep occult knowledge, being based on Eastern spiritual Buddhist philosophies. We're brought into a world that's not too different from our own, which is what makes it so fascinating. The idea that this could potentially be a reflection of our own world. Aang,
What?
the last airbender, represents the avatar.
Like all stories are a reflection of our own world in some way or another, but like, what do you, it's a fantasy, what do you mean? Like, what, I know he's gonna go into it, but I'm confused. I would never say that.
Of our own world. Aang, the last airbender, represents the avatar state, the chosen one, the savior that has come to bring balance to the world and essentially cause what could be considered a reset of the old world order. When the world becomes out of balance, it's the avatar's job to restore order.
Predictive programming on the bingo card.
Now for those of you who haven't seen the show, probably older generation, it's basically a world which is deeply connected with the elemental spirits. So much so that there are benders, who are essentially trained martial artists who are born with the gift of being able to manipulate one of the 4 elements.
They're not... Your origin can inform that it is sort of genetic, it seems like, in who's a waterbender or an earthbender or a firebender, but it is a skill that needs to be developed. It's not just innate.
So you have waterbenders, earthbenders, firebenders, and airbenders. By manipulating these elementals, which takes years of training and the ability to harmonize with these spiritual energies, they can then manipulate the physical world around them. Which is interesting, because I do believe this is possible in real life.
Oh.
I mean, think about it. We were just talking about the boxers who were supposedly impervious to bullets.
Oh no. Do we gotta get into the fake magic martial arts bullshito shit?
There are people who are said to be able to manipulate chi to
They are said to
generate great power and even fire. But consider a time in reality when the boundaries between the spirit and physical plane were much thinner. It could very well have been possible to manipulate the
misunderstanding of Eastern philosophy or religion on bingo, yes.
Elements in this manner. The Avatar is the mediator between these 2 realms, and he possesses the ability to manipulate all the elements because of this connection. Typically for normal benders, what element you have power over depends on what nation you were born in.
Genetic.
So perhaps it has to do with the location or race. But the Avatar is the only human that is capable of bending all 4 elements. This, and his connection to all his past lives, gives him the ability to have great power. Not only is the Avatar reincarnated in a cycle,
It's kind of like the Force. Some people are born more Force sensitive, and that gives them the ability to train, but training helps refine and strengthen, if that makes sense. But there are some people who just have such low levels they probably wouldn't be able to. DM Trey says, the Boxer Rebellion famously failed. You can't shadow box out of being shot in the face. Profane Priestess says, Avatar isn't woke. The main character is a pacifist monk, and the entire point of Sokka's arc is that sexism bad. Toph as a character exists as a criticism of ableism. Did we watch the same show? He was talking about the recent live-action series, which took out that arc for Sokka, which is a bummer. And I didn't get to any Toph stuff in the live-action show. Oh wait, they don't. She doesn't show up till season 2 anyway. Yeah, so she's not in season 1.
he has access to all his past lives and can harness the Avatar state, in which he has the power of all his past reincarnations. In the original show, it actually talks a lot about letting go of attachments that may be keeping the Avatar from entering the Avatar state. It even talks about chakras and how to open them, which is what Aang must do in order to have full control. They took this out of the Netflix one.
Unfortunately, Italian Shakespeare, unfortunately.
But still, Aang goes into the Avatar state when he's in great emotional pain or when he's close to dying and it's the only way to save his life. I find it very interesting because essentially, the show has these themes of destiny, but also that the spirit world has a great play in the events of the future. Almost as if Aang has no free will, but not quite. He can only control the outcomes based on his choices. But for example, in the first episode, the Fire Nation plans an attack against the air nomads as Sozin's Comet is approaching the Earth. And why would there be a Sozin's Comet in the first place, as only the Fire Nation and Water Nation really get advantages from what I know based on astrological events?
Why would there be a Sozin's Comet? Like, in universe? Or like, from a writing perspective? What an interesting question. The fact that that question confuses me is probably illuminating in some way to what's different between his worldview and mine. What do you mean, why is there... From a writing perspective, it's because it puts a ticking clock, right? There are writing reasons, so from a Doyleist perspective, it gives a ticking clock, it gives a great peril, it gives a moment that they're building up to. Sorry, Halloween Town, I'll read it in a sec. In universe, it's a cosmic event that may or may not have spiritual significance because it is a universe of magic and spiritual reality. Confused by what he means. Where was the tip? First, Fenekigami says, Orin, hear me out because I know this sounds crazy. Key and similar concepts are metaphors. Do you think the praying mantis stance turns you into a praying mantis? Where was Halloween Town's thing? I didn't get a thing for one. Are you sure you did one? One second, I'm having trouble finding it. Yeah, I don't know if it went through. I don't think I got a tip.
It's a little bit of an unfair advantage, but when the Fire Nation comes to the Air Temple, they're trying to kill the Avatar so that they can take over the world. Fire.
Oh, the $5 tip bar was from yesterday. Someone did that yesterday.
Being the dictator energy, the need to expand and destroy. Also, apparently the Fire Nation is growing hybrid creatures. Thought that was a weird reference to show, but yeah.
They're not growing hybrid creatures. All creatures pretty much are hybrid creatures in the universe. It's a joke that they make once. Because someone's like, oh, that guy has a bear. And they're, what, you mean like an owl bear? Or like an emu bear? And they're like, no, just a bear. And that's weird, because in this fantasy universe, most of the animals are what we would consider chimeras. But in this universe, that's just what the animals are.
There are a bunch of hybrids in this world. So Aang coincidentally leaves right before the Fire Nation shows up.
Yeah, it's a story. Coincidences are going to happen.
Was it his...
Especially in a universe where the story has a concept of fate. Like there is fate in this universe. So yes, convenient things happen. It's a story.
His choice to leave? Or was his destiny? As when he leaves, a storm approaches and he almost drowns, but the Avatar state saves him by freezing him for the next 100 years. It's almost as if the spirits designed this so that he would live to save the world in the future.
Sure.
If he would have stayed in the Air Temple, he would have been killed. The Netflix version did some interesting things where they added Yang Chen in the first episode, where it's revealed that Aang is the Avatar. And they also did this whole thing with Kyoshi where she takes over Aang, which doesn't happen until a future episode, but I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. Aang is afraid to use his power, whereas the other avatars understand that sometimes you have to be a merciless warrior if you want to save the world.
And then Aang proves them wrong in the end by using his pacifism and still solving the conflict. Importantly, thematically for the show, it is important to recognize that in the end, Aang is right, not the other avatars from the past.
Aang struggles with this being an air nomad, as he always would like to avoid conflict if possible and find a solution that does not involve violence. Episodes 3 and 4 involves Omashu, and I see what they did. They kind of put the Mechanist, Jet, Boomy, and Secret Tunnel all mashed up into these 2 episodes.
Secret Tunnel.
But they did an okay job.
Wait, they kept Secret Tunnel with all the shit they cut? They kept... Okay.
I don't think they really had the budget
Secret Tunnel through the mountains
to literally do every single episode, so they had to make shortcuts. And it was pretty clever writing to put it together in this way where it still stays true to the story. I'm just interested to see how they continue with the next seasons. Also, I don't really like how Aang doesn't have to go through any bending training at all throughout all 8 episodes. That's one of the things that made the show relatable, is that you're watching Aang learn. But in the Netflix show, it doesn't really talk about that. And it also seems to have made the decision to remove the love relationship between Katara and Aang. In the anime, they're closer in age, but in the Netflix one, Aang looks like he's 8 and Katara looks like she's 16 or 17.
I think his ages are wrong there, but sure.
That's a big part of the original show, which is what not only contributes to Aang becoming the Avatar.
I would say he's maybe 9 or 10 and she's like 12. I don't know the actual ages.
Also, is the
I assumed she was older, but only slightly.
Challenge in him reaching his controlled Avatar state. But yeah, it was cool to see the Badger Moles, and they even have the Secret Tunnel hippies. Oh, and how can I not mention the cabbages?
I knew it was gonna happen, but I'm still surprised.
Yeah, that was awesome that they included that. But did you know there are a few conspiracies about cabbages in the show? One talks about how the cabbage dealer is a member of the White Lotus. And also, in the bloodbending episode from the original series, there's a shot where one of the cabbages has a face as Katara's talking about her grand-grand. Which that episode is probably one of the darkest episodes. But yeah, I thought that was crazy that even in Avatar, they have cabbage conspiracies. My cabbages! Okay, so this is when it gets interesting. I love episode 5, Spirited Away. This is where we learn more of the nature of this realm and how similar it is to our world.
Oh boy. Profane Priestess says, all benders are empowered by spiritually significant natural phenomena. Firebenders are empowered by the proximity to the sun, comets, and other fiery phenomena like volcanoes. Earthbenders are empowered during spring and near fault lines. Waterbenders shift with the cycle of the moon and are empowered during winters. Air nomads are empowered during the fall and in high places such as the mountains and in ravines that capture the wind. Benekagami says, all benders are tied to their elements and affected by their environments. Each element has advantages and disadvantages. Earth and water benders are powerless when removed from their elements. Earth is a tough element to beat because it's the only solid. Air and fire benders can bend anywhere but have weaknesses. His understanding of the balancing in this series is bad. Yeah.
So they make their way to a village where the nearby forest had just been burned by the Fire Nation. One of the villagers believes that their land has become sick, and now weird things started occurring. They can't grow crops and have resulted to search for food, but people are going missing. So Aang and the crew decide to help. Aang already has deep knowledge about the spirit world here, where in the show he actually has to go through the process of learning about it. But in the Netflix one, the air nomads must have taught him. So he's telling Katara that the world we live in isn't the only world there is. That there's another realm beyond ours, the spirit world. And even though these realms usually remain separate, there are places and times where the barrier between them is thin. And the forest is one of these places. Which is super interesting if you tie that back to Missing 411, which is a whole different topic. But I do find it interesting that forests are constantly referenced as places where you can more easily tap in with otherworldly spirits.
Not weird. Humans find the idea of spirits. Spirits are kind of stand-ins for mischievous unknowns, right? Things that scare us that we don't know about. The woods are also that. The woods are mysterious places of danger. So many folk tales from Europe are based, like, in the forest for that reason. I don't know about, like, Eastern folk tales, so I can't speak to that. But it's pretty clear why people have an association of nature and the woods and sort of the wild and fairies or spirits or creatures because it's all the unknown. They're all symbols and ideas that link together.
Maybe explains many cryptid sightings. So they find the shrine to the spirit of the forest, and Aang starts meditating in order to astral project. So they're showing you this is—
Aang was 12 and Katara was like 14, 15. Sokka was a year older than Katara. Removing the romance between Aang and Katara is a strength. It was the weakest part of their characters, plus the age gap. I disagree. I really liked their, romance. I know they're kids, but it's cute when you find out when they get older they did get married and have kids and stuff.
isn't just a fantasy. This is from Eastern occultism, the ability for one to leave their body and explore the spirit or astral realms.
Oof, that's a rough effect. I did not get to this episode. Ooh boy. Jedi Ghost Aang. Okay. I know he did this in the cartoon too, but it just looks bad here.
Interestingly, in this one, they actually all go to the spirit realm, which is different, but I see why they made the decision, as they're combining future episodes into one, which isn't that bad of an idea. Meanwhile, we actually get to see June and Nyla, which is pretty sweet. Lots of creatures in this episode. Okay, so the gang is all in the spirit world wandering around, and they come across this owl. Which is funny, because before watching the Netflix show, I was thinking, oh, it would be so awesome if they did the library episode at some point, because I always loved the owl. But they for some reason decided to put it in the spirit world episode, which seems unnecessary.
That's so early, too. It's weird how they're moving things around. I know it's an adaptation, but what?
I'm not complaining.
It's not even the right season.
This owl is the spirit of knowledge itself, and only the Avatar can comprehend its speech. Sokka thinks it's just some birdie. And also tying back to that library episode, they also have the foxes here too, but I won't ruin that just yet on the significance of how that ties into later episodes. But that was good writing for sure. Not how it went, but very interesting. Well, the owl tells Aang that there are some very dangerous spirits here and that they need to be careful, and that there are creatures that will eat your soul. Now this is crazy as we'll see, but also, this episode is a mix of the Fog episode too, which I find very synchronistic because essentially, Katara and Sokka have to face their traumas, truths that they were never prepared to face, and they combine this with Ko, the face stealer. So after following the path, they get attacked by the spirit of the forest, which is actually a good spirit, it's just really upset and hurt. But they get separated from this and basically end up in the fog. Katara and Sokka have to relive their most painful memories, so essentially they get lost in the fog. While this is happening, Aang wanders into a cave and we meet Ko, one if not the only real demon in the show. It's super creepy, even in the original. But what I find so fascinating, if you watched our last episode, well, Ko has the face of a clown, and he is the face stealer. Interestingly, in the Netflix version, the fog is the way to lure his victims so that he can eat them or steal their faces, their identities, their souls. That can't just be a coincidence that he is depicted as a clown face.
I mean, it depends on what you mean by coincidence. Is it a coincidence in that it was random? No, that was a creative decision that was made for specific reasons, for symbolic reasons, right? To function within the narrative of the story. If you mean, is it trying to signal something to you or anyone about demons secretly being clowns and that clowns are related to demons? No, not even a little bit.
And if that's not enough, it literally laughs like a clown. So another reference to an identity
It's unnerving. For those who haven't seen the original show or this, the deal with this demon is that if you show any reaction, if you show any fear or laughter or anything other than just stoicism, then it will steal your face. So it's creepy because it's supposed to lend itself to causing you to react, which will give it power, and then it can steal your face. It's creepy. It's supposed to be. It's like a monster demon spirit. H-Bird says he looks more like a member of the band Kiss than he does a clown.
Stealer, a Nephilim
Same diff, am I right?
Spirit realm that devours souls and steals their face while they're being lost by their own trauma. Aang escapes and makes it to a hut where he meets the spirit of his mentor, Gyatso. Interestingly, we see Uzumaki's hinting towards the cycle of life. And they even have a discussion where it's revealed that it was destiny that Aang was not there when the Fire Nation attacked, and that he must learn to let go so that he can fully move on. It's also hinting towards Gyatso not being able to move on either until he had met with Aang again. Or he knows that this was a one-time experience and that he wouldn't see Aang in the spirit realm again. He chose not to move on to the next stage of enlightenment because of Aang, but after this experience, it would seem that he finally moves on. Well, Ko has captured Katara and Sokka as food, and now Aang needs to speak with another avatar in order to find out how to save them, as he's not strong enough to fight this demon, clown, worm, scorpion, spider spirit. Apparently, only Roku knows how to best the spirit, so Aang heads to the Fire Nation to Roku's shrine. Coincidentally, the next episode is called Mask, and it ties in perfect with the last episode, which is really good writing on multiple levels. So Aang meets up with Roku, and we learn that although the avatar reincarnates, each avatar is a different person with a unique personality and ideals, each offering different advice. Aang wants to help with Ko, but Roku's obviously fearful of this primal spirit or demon, saying that he's extremely dangerous. Even Avatar Kurik lost his love's soul to the demon. But Aang must do whatever it takes, and thinks Roku found a way to defeat him. But that's not the case. Roku stole an artifact or totem from Ko, which is super interesting and not in the original show, but I thought it was a great addition. This totem is something that Ko needs and cannot forget. It is a pendant that belonged to the Mother of Faces, an ancient spirit who crafted faces for all living beings. It's because
Kagami says, to be clear, Aang and Katara's relationship wasn't bad, but honestly I'm far more worried about these creators butchering the quintessential redemption arc that is Zuko's arc. I'm over it. I just have no interest in this whatsoever. Like, I have the original show. That's enough for me. They're doing another animated thing, too, with Aang and the gang as adults, so I'm excited for that from the original creators. Live action stuff, it's just whatever to me. I don't
because
care.
of her that identity came into this world. This ancient spirit of faces is Ko's mother. Now the show says that Ko longs for family, but it's almost as if this demon longs for some type of identity, because he doesn't have a face, he only has the clown mask. So because the demon cannot have an identity,
It is, in the fandom, Aang and Katara, Sokka, all of them are called the gang, as in G and then Aang's name. That is the thing.
and start a family. Instead, it steals the souls and identities of others. Very similar to what would be the case with these disembodied Nephilim or DMT jesters. They're stuck on another realm and wish to know what it's like to be human.
You
to
are
have a soul.
taking drugs!
And so they attach themselves to souls who suffer from trauma. But in the process, they are devoured and lose their identity.
I just want to scream at these people to please stop taking hallucinogenic drugs if you don't understand how drugs work.
Hence, the mask or loss of their face. Now, there are a few real-world examples of similar spirits. In Japanese folklore, the Noperabo, or the
Did he just say real-life examples and then cite folklore?
faceless ghost, is a spirit with no face. It's not the same, but perhaps it may be connected, as they were known primarily for frightening humans and would impersonate someone familiar to the victim before causing their features to disappear, leaving a blank, smooth sheet of skin where their face would be. Pretty sure I heard a story like this from Missing 411, but there are stories of hikers running into people like this in the woods. It almost seems like a trickster spirit that tries to give the illusion of being someone who is familiar.
Or human beings have a fundamental attachment to the identity of others, which is connected and conveyed through their faces. So anxieties surrounding the other, and in particular the other that is unknown, is symbolically represented in media through a being with a human shape without a face, which is the most identifiable part of a human being to us. Maybe that one!
But has no real identity. Then you have the Slua from Celtic folklore, that are these evil spirits that prey on the souls of those who are dying. They are
What's this? It's the unknown! It's always the villain. The villain is always the unknown.
Spirit for swooping down to capture souls before they can pass on, trapping them forever to fly within their dark flock. Interestingly, they combine this episode with the Mask episode where Zuko saves Aang from the Fire Nation prison. Aang takes the totem back to Ko and gets his friends back, and as this is happening, Aro is saying something that connects with all this. We travel incredible distances, risk our lives, even fight monsters. That it's scary to admit that you may need people. Some may see that as a weakness. After all, what greater pain is there than losing someone you love? Or worse, finding out someone you love has left you behind. I guess that's why we feel the need to hide away and protect ourselves. So we put on a mask.
Wow, the mask they used for that episode looks like a spirit Halloween. Bravo, no! When did the Avatar world develop plastics? Fedekagami says, could I just say this guy found a way to make Avatar The Last Airbender one of the best pieces of media of all time sound boring? Yeah. Looks like Zuko 3D printed this. Look at how fucking shiny it is. What the fuck?
It's not hard to understand why. What's hard is knowing that sometimes the mask is who you really are. Thought that was deep, but those two were the best episodes, I feel like. Then the last two episodes involve the North Water Tribe, which I won't break it down, but I did want to talk about the moon and ocean spirits. These are two powerful elemental spirits that
The air nomads were getting revenge on the Fire Nation via microplastics.
reside in the spirit oasis at the North Pole. In the Netflix version, there's a single night when they decide to manifest as physical mortal beings, manifesting as a white and black koi fish. The moon spirit is also the first waterbender and the root of all waterbending. The waterbenders learned from the moon, watching the tides rise. Without the moon, waterbenders cannot bend water, and I always thought this part was super occult when Zhao
What would plastic fall under? Earthbenders, because it's a petroleum-based product? I'm just thinking, because they, in Korra, time has gone up to the Industrial Revolution, like almost the 1930s level of technology. So if they continued to move the timeline forward, they would probably have plastics or something similar. Petroleum is organic, though? I guess. Would anyone... Maybe it would just be a new thing. Plastic bending? I don't know. Forrest Espion says it truly does look 3D printed. Like, they could not find an artist who's great with wood carving to make this, and have the prop artist make it look aged. Like, literally, I did this with, like, a wand I made once. It was made of plastic, but I ended up using a scouring pad to scrape it down, and gave it a wood texture. Like, you can give plastic a wooden texture, and then stain or paint over it, and then, do stuff to make it look. So they just didn't want to, and I would even understand if they wanted it to be metal, because they're firebenders, so I would understand the mask being metal, but it doesn't. It looks plastic. Weird.
Kills the moon spirit and the moon disappears? Zhao finds this out through searching through ancient esoteric scrolls, that the spirits had mortal incarnations and could be destroyed, resulting in an end to waterbending. I always liked that part about Avatar, is that there are multiple instances where they find secret knowledge that not everyone knows about concerning the spirit realm. Then there's Princess Yue. So she's got this special connection to the moon spirit because part of its life force was given to her when she was born. Basically, she's alive because of it. And when Zhao messes everything up by taking out the moon spirit, Yue decides that it's her turn to give back. So she sacrifices herself to bring the moon spirit back to life. Which is wild because now she's the moon, or at least part of her is. It's this moment
I wish I was the moon.
Where you see just how deeply connected everything is. How the spirits in the
Rita
real world
Repulsa could live on my back.
Rely on each other. So the show is filled with occult themes, with one of the most prominent occult knowledge being the power of the elementals and the effect that they have on our realm. This is a real world concept. In both Avatar The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra, the bending arts are rooted in the manipulation of the four classical elements: water, earth, fire, and air. This mirrors the concept of
Profane Priestess is my first girlfriend turned into the moon. Didn't know Sokka watched my channel. That's cool.
tattvas and Hindu.
Fenekagami says, my guy, the mask persona commentary and hedgehog dilemma have been discussed way deeper than you've described here. You, my friend, are just easily impressed, like a stoner looking at stars well high.
Hinduism and Buddhism, where the elements,
Only it's a month until 420.
including ether or spirit, make up the fundamental aspects of our world. Ether, or spirit, is akin to the avatar state, a powerful manifestation of all the elements combined, representing balance and the connection to the spirit world, or the entire universe itself. The classical elements are the heart of ancient wisdom and esoteric knowledge, where earth, water, air, fire, and aether serve as the foundation.
Where's that video of Data explaining that the elements are bullshit? Hold on. It's a good scene. Chicken Bacon Swiss says, I love Star Trek. I think I'm getting the TNG on Blu-ray next paycheck. That's great. It's a great set. I have that set. It looks incredible in HD. It really is worth it. I cannot wait and hope and pray, metaphorically, that they release Deep Space Nine on Blu-ray someday. Because next gen looks great.
Pillars explaining the universe's intricate design. This quintet of elements has been a cornerstone in the philosophies of diverse cultures, stretching from the ancient Greeks to the mystic landscapes of Tibet to the rich spiritual wisdom.
The mystic landscapes of Tibet. Fuck off.
Of India.
You exoticizing ass.
These traditions, though varied in language and expression, referring to air as wind and the elusive fifth element as void or space.
I know what the fifth element is. It's love. Lilu taught me that.
Share a common pursuit to unravel the mysteries of existence through the primal forces that shape our world. The inclusion of aether or spirit into this elemental framework marks a significant evolution in the understanding of the material and immaterial universe. Aether is often seen as the bridge between the tangible and the ethereal, the substance connecting the physical to the spiritual, infusing the classical elements with a divine essence. Ancient philosophers and sages across
Chinese metaphysics consider the elements to be wood, fire, air, water. I don't know off the top of my head. Speaking of weird stuff like that, though, I just added a bunch of dictionaries and books about different symbols and how they've been used historically or by different organizations or societies. So if you want to get me an interesting book to learn more about symbols, it's on my wish list.
these cultures
If not,
delved
I'll
into
get them at some point in the future.
the properties and interconnections of the elements, weaving them into their observations of nature, their cosmological speculations, and their mythological narratives. These elements were personified.
Darren Wolf, actually, I believe the live-action stuff was still filmed, and it was the special effects stuff that would need to get redone completely. I could be wrong, but that was my understanding. Because they did actually remaster some Deep Space Nine for the documentary What We Left Behind. So they can do it. It's the special effects shots. It's the shots of, like, the station or the ships that are done in a computer. They were only exported in standard definition, and the masters of those, I believe, are on tape. So those they would have to go in and literally remake all of the digital shots, which is a pain in the ass, but
Celebrated
all the live action on set footage is still on film.
and feared in the
think.
pantheons of gods and goddesses, embodying the powers of creation and destruction, of life and death. The philosophical discourse around the elements ranged from the concept of atomism, suggesting the existence of indivisible building blocks of matter, to the belief in the infinite
Atomism? You mean the reality that atoms exist?
divisibility of
I know that he's referencing the older philosophy, and that's where we get the word for, like, atom. That had been classical philosophy. There had been people who had thought that you could divide things to some singular thing, which even atoms, as it turns out, are made up of more elementary particles, but
elements. This is the primal quest for understanding the fabric of reality. The elemental theory transcended mere philosophical musings in ancient times, evolving through the Middle Ages into a tool for empirical inquiry. Medieval scientists and alchemists, building on the foundational work of their ancient predecessors, embarked on experimental journeys, classifying materials and probing the secrets of transformation and transmutation. This blend of esoteric wisdom with practical
Alchemy turned into an actual science, chemistry.
observation
But you don't like science, so.
led the groundwork for the modern scientific method, yet the allure of the elements as gateways to deeper spiritual truths remained undiminished. The classical elements, including aether, embody the ancient world's endeavor to decode the complexity of existence, offering a lens through which the interconnectedness of all matter, spirit, and the cosmos can be perceived. By focusing on these elements, we can do more than just find harmony and balance in our physical lives. It's also the gateway to creating a body of light, or an avatar, a vehicle for spirit world journeys. These elements are a part of us, and by learning to master these,
Now that's being trapped in a glass case of emotions. Jesus Christ. Get me out of this pastel prison! It's like the Phantom Zone.
these elements
But like Rose Art designed it.
are a part of us, and by learning to master them, we can identify where
Look at that fan art. That does not read as Aang to me. Look at how muscular and angry he looks. Aang is a pacifist. Please remember this if you do fan art. Stop trying to make him look badass. Like, it's cool to make him look competent, but like, this is coming off as very angry. He's a pacifist, guys. He fights when he needs to, but he never likes it.
our lives are out of sync. We each have a sign we're born under: water, fire, air, or earth, reflecting aspects of our personalities tied to our astrological charts. In many ways, we're all benders. It's just not as obvious as in the show where you see people literally tossing rocks or bending water.
Or like in the Shyamalan movie when like 6 guys did a whole routine and then threw some pebbles at people.
Instead, through our life's creation, we
You
manipulate
can be a pacifist and muscular? Of course you can, but in that image, the muscularity was there to emphasize some sort of force. In his face, he is also very angry and has his symbol pointedly at the audience in form of attack. Like, the whole vibe was very aggressive, which Aang is powerful, but he is not aggressive.
these elements with our thoughts, personality, and
At
actions.
least not proactively so.
By becoming more in tune with these elements, we're on the path to becoming better versions of ourselves. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'm excited to see the next 2 seasons. I thought they did a great job. I could break down more of the original show and Korra, but that's up to you guys.
If they ever try and make Samurai Jack live action, that's it. I quit. I quit TV. Back to the past, Samurai Jack. Watcha! I have to urinate real quick. I will be right back. Chair's in charge again. Here, chair, protect yourself. Chair tell us what to do in these trying times. Chair says, spend time with those you love. And buy gift subs for Hannah. Or subscribe. Subscribe to the channel.
So earlier you mentioned understanding flat Earth is the key to our freedom. You said something like that. So the first question is, why do you think it's the key to our freedom? Why is it so important? And the second question is, how does it affect us?
Procagom, thank you for the gift subs based off Chair's warnings.
What does it matter if we believe, if it's flat or round? How does that pertain to us in our everyday lives? What's the difference, and why is everybody arguing about it so much? And instead of acknowledging, guess what, it could be this or it could be this.
Yeah, because
I'm talking about that there might be other lands that they're hiding from us, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about personally, the everyday person who doesn't have anything to do with those things and never will have anything to do with these things. Why is it important to us? Why do we need to understand this? And what it has to do with our freedom? And why argue about it and cause more division?
Well, right. Well, it's because we live in a very spiritual world, and this is a satanic lie, and there's a lot of evil.
Satanic on the bingo card.
Evil in the world, and the way they get away with all this evil is people can't imagine that evil exists. Therefore, if they can't imagine it, it'll just.
I think they just recognize that evil is typically more banal than the evil plans that conspiracy theorists imagine.
Happen, and it'll get around them. What difference does the shape of the world make? Well, there is no difference. It does make a difference, the shape. It's the lie that matters. What difference does it make? I have to go to work on Monday. I said it. I said all the things, right? I worked my way up through corporate America. I started my own business, super successful. I had a great situation, making tons of money, American dream. I got the whole thing. And I walked away from it all because this is the most important topic of our time. This is the one that unplugs us from the matrix. This is the one that frees us from the tyranny that's going on. What difference does it make? Well, there's a thing where he who created it owns it. So we're born into God's world, into nature, into the natural world, and there's natural law, and we are inheritors.
The natural law thing is so interesting. It's so vague. Whatever they think is right is what natural law is. Natural law is whatever moral precepts they already have. That's natural law.
Of this realm equally, but the controllers have made it where they immediately register us to a corporation at birth, and they'll tell us we live on this spinning ball. And if you live on their ball field, you play...
There is no them that's telling you the earth is round. That is a demonstrable fact. Other people might tell you that, but there is no all-encompassing them that is dictating that.
With their rules. And that's
honestly, there's no all-encompassing them that dictates anything, really.
How they control us.
There's always a variety of groups with power and interest in things.
For example... if you look at all of the music industry, all of it, all of the movies industry, all of the video games, and I think you could add into that all of the professional sports teams, all of that together is less than space, what they spend on space yearly. Okay? Space is the biggest money laundering system in the world, ever.
Even if it was laundering, it would still be, like, it's not. But the fact that you think it is, I'm kind of confused. Do you think that they're taking money and, like, locking it in a vault somewhere? Because if they were laundering the money, then the money would still be out there in circulation somewhere. Like, what do you think they're doing with the money?
And it's how they control us because it makes us insignificant.
Put the defense budget up there next to it. It'll dwarf everything else on the goddamn chart.
It hides us from the creator.
It hides us from the creator. The creator sucks.
A quote in the Bible, a verse that basically says, once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence. Well, they don't want you in that situation where you...
Most people on the planet are already religious and believe in some kind of, like, deity. So they're losing if that's the intent.
Can't deny the creator, because it's hard
Especially
to
in the United States, most believe in some kind of deity.
All people that have a connection to God, so they're doing everything they can by demoralizing.
What does God need with a budget allocation?
Us and hiding us and diluting God. How do you dilute something? You put it into something bigger, right? You pour it into something bigger, like infinite expanding space. They tell us space is expanding. I think it's 1 billion miles a minute or something like that. It's the dumbest thing ever. It's ridiculous. They're just lying. So money, I don't think money is the reason that they do it. I think it's more to hide God. And
again, they would be doing a terrible job. People talk about the concept of God or different religions or deities all the time. So if that was their intent, they would be doing a very, very, very bad job. Like, they would be doing terribly. Everyone should be fired in that division if that was their intent.
And what else I got here? So if also, you know, as I was saying before, your thoughts create your reality. If you're
they might create your perception of reality. They will shape your perception of reality.
Trapped in a globe of limitations. If you're afraid that they're going to start a nuclear war and don't realize that nuclear bombs don't exist as described.
There's that one. That's been getting more prevalent, which isn't good.
If you
the denial of nuclear weapons is increasing, for those who don't know. So that's not good.
Think that we're overpopulated, maybe you won't have enough have more kids. It's all about population control.
Population control on the bingo card?
Believe that in the old world, if you start looking into that, there's tons of stuff on the app about it, that there was trillions of people here. Trillions. Okay, not billions, trillions. And there's so much evidence of that, it's unreal. But if you live in a small world, you have small thoughts, and it limits your imagination. It limits your creative ability, and if you live in fear, your ability to manifest is not nearly as strong. So, you know.
Demibird says the nuclear denialism is nuts. Some people think radiation is fake. Yep, like the guy who used to eat it all the time to prove it was fake. And then he died because of the thing he was doing. Don't eat radioactive isotopes to prove a point, because you'll just die.
You know, what difference does it make? You know, if you lived, let's say you lived in a building, all right? Let's say there's this cool building. You know, they're building that line out in Saudi Arabia, whatever it's called.
That's not going to get built. That thing's a nonsense.
Imagine a building 500 miles long by 500 miles wide, and it's 400 stories tall. Okay?
Incredibly stupid civil engineering that makes no goddamn sense.
Cool. You're born in there. There's football stadiums in there. There's colleges in there. There's Costco's in there. There's trains in there. There might even be airplanes. 500 miles. That's pretty far, right? So this is a giant building. But every time you get within a mile of the outside wall, there's military there that goes, no, you can't go there. We have to protect the penguins. There's penguins that live out there, right?
The line is in the Middle East. It is not near penguins.
And there's ice. We don't want you infecting the ice.
I understand what he's doing. He's using it as a metaphor, not literal. I get it.
And you're like, okay. And then somebody goes, there's more out there. There's more. And you're like, what difference does it make? I'm fine right here in my little ball, right? They don't want you to know. What are all wars fought over? All of them. Resources and land. What if
well, there have been ideological wars. That's definitely not true. I understand that there's generally an underlying material reason to, but there have been wars that have been ideologically driven.
Hiding more land and resources. They're hiding more land and resources. They're hiding the creator. They're hiding your true
power. That wouldn't make sense. They would just go take those things then. They would have wars over that.
Power.
That doesn't make any sense.
This is the most important topic. And also, if you're lost in space, spinning out of control, living in fear and in lack, they can make you believe
living in fear on the bingo card,
that the boogeyman's floating through the air, and if you breathe on your friend, they're going to die, and it's going to be your fault. Right? They can make you believe in anything if you believe you're flying through space. If you don't have a foundation to God's creation, then you are lost in space and you'll never live to your full potential. Now, you might be happy. You might have money. You might have a nice house. You might go on vacation here and there, right? Okay? But that's not what this is all about. This is all about, government. What is government? Why does government think that they're in charge of us? We're in charge of them. God, man, government. Government's trying to get on top of God, right? They're already on top of us in your minds, not in my mind. I mean, not in regular people's minds. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but government is here for us, but they're not here for us. They're all corrupt. They're all, in it together, and they're literally satanic. It's crazy.
If I was flung 7 billion years into the future, and someone was like, "Tell a joke," the joke you go for is, "Did you guys know politicians are liars and corrupt?" Because that joke would have also been relevant like 7,000 years ago. Like it's not an original observation. We get it.
The
Congress is useless, isn't it? Same punchline, just for centuries. Same fucking jokes.
The stuff that they're into. So, why the lie? They're hiding free energy. They're hiding your
There's no such thing as free energy.
Spirituality. They're hiding more land. What's going on here? They're hiding scientific knowledge. What's in Antarctica? That we're at the center of creation. They're hiding how special you are. So if you want to just ignore that.
Stone Corbell says, "This guy's gish galloping personified. Imagine being on a site with him there after he's finally done yapping, trying to refute every individual claim he made one after another." Yeah, annoying.
That and not see the full creation of this fantastic opportunity that we have to experience this realm. That's why, for me, it is the most important topic ever.
This is app. You can go get his app. Alright. So, that is Tinfoil Friday, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out. Doesn't look like anyone won bingo, which is a shame, but as always, next time. See if we're gonna do a raid on Twitch or anything. Boop 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 boop.
The girl they're older? You guys are so considerate of the girl's feelings when it comes to drinking.
Alright. Have a great night, everyone. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Like I said, I will be doing a Patreon-only live stream on Sunday. So if you would like to be a part of that, make sure you join the Patreon, patreon.com/HannahReloaded. Oh, thank you, Phoenix Leftist. Appreciate it. Every one of those were just personal insecurities and maybe a few points he couldn't debunk. Personal insecurities are a big part of a lot of people's personal conspiratorial beliefs. So, yeah. Have a great night, everyone. Hug your loved ones. Relax. Have a great weekend. See you tomorrow and Sunday if you're going to be on the Patreon-only live show. Take care, all. Night.